brothers. I'm going to noon mass. No, I'm not posting that right now. I'll post it after the 8 a.m. mass. I don't want people to back out for no reason. Let's let the 8 a.m. mass happen first. All right, that's not going to be open in time. What am I leading with?
BRPT is your first live read.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Segment is LED fast start.
Yes. For the website's purposes, Louisiana Economic Development is doing work. That's all right. Let me go grab this.
About a minute and a half.
Did my phone ding? No, I turned it on silent. Oh, I heard a car alarm or a car door.
God, let me in.
Nice.
How was the retreat?
Bro, so good.
My wedding was really, really nice. That I went to.
Yeah.
That was in.
Yeah.
The Tiger 10K, beautiful. Just beautiful.
Yeah, I saw you posted a pic from the. How'd you get in on that? Wouldn't the registration have already been closed by that point? No.
I just went to the site, registered for the 10K,
Yeah.
and it was.
All right.
It was a really good run, too. They did a phenomenal job of it.
Oh, they always do.
Are you up on live yet?
Yes.
I'm going to try a little different today. I'm going to try the tablet.
Six 606 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Good morning, everybody. Mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Brian here with you. Jake producing. We have got a busy, busy show for you today. And you might need to budget a little extra time this morning. Actually, you know what? Let me give you the rundown, then that's where we're going to start off this morning, is the fog. Here's the rundown. First of all, guest-wise. First of all, Attorney Franz Borghardt is in for Legally Served. He's coming up at 6:35. Got a couple of topics to talk about. How can I sum up the topics in one sentence? How about Pastor Spell and the Grinch? You're just gonna have to stick around to find out what that's all about. Pastor Spell and the Grinch. Anyway, that's coming up at 6:35. Legally Served is coming your way. In the 7 o'clock hour, Tiger Joyce from the American Tort Reform Foundation is going to join us. I know, Franz is already gagging over here. Never go after an attorney's money, man. They get triggered quickly. That's coming up at 7:15. Congressman Garret Graves, D.C. Current, coming your way at 7:35. Then in the 8 o'clock hour, State Treasurer John Schroder is set to join us at 8:15. I believe we're going to be talking about missing or unreturned property or unclaimed property. It is that time of year, is it not? I mean, wouldn't you love to have a little bit of extra cash in your pocket heading into the Christmas season? I know I would. State Treasurer John Schroder going to join us at 8:15 to see if we can't find you a few dollars. And then we'll round things out with Danny Fields. From the Cortana Kiwanis, it is that time of year as well, the Cortana Kiwanis Christmas Parade. So, you know what? With those two segments back-to-back like that, I don't know which promo to lead off with. More cash in your pocket this Christmas season or the Cortana Kiwanis Downtown Christmas Parade? You know what? How would you like more cash in your pocket this Christmas season? How about $15,000? Talk 107.3 and Citizens Bank and Trust are in the spirit to rock your holidays with $15,000 cash. 15K holidays. What would you do with an extra 15 grand? Just head to talk1073.com to register to win $15,000 powered by Citizens Bank and Trust and Talk 107.3 FM, the new flavor of talk. All right, so said the lead this morning is, or at least for right now until the sun comes up, we have a ton of problems. Well, not as far as overall traffic is concerned, but the potential for traffic problems are already out there. You heard the traffic report from Ashley Frugier. We have dense fog throughout the area this morning. It is going to cause problems, especially around areas where you're closer to water, anybody coming in from Maymeet, anybody existing in Ascension Parish. And then, man, once I got close to downtown this morning, like the second we're coming up Government Street, the second we crossed past the Acadian Thruway, it thickened up real good. So you're going to want to be on the lookout for that this morning. DOTD, let me see if I can't pull up the map here real quick to see what DOTD is showing us. Normally this time of morning, traffic's pretty light. Yeah, I'm not showing any major delays as of yet. You're already starting to see some slight delays on 12 westbound coming into town. But those are going to be your normal stack-ups. Oh, also looks like we have an accident on 110 as well. Yeah, a couple of accidents on 110 just north of the Memorial Stadium curve. Anyway, budget yourself some extra time this morning. Do not press it. Do not end up behind the eight ball, as it were, trying to get to work, trying to get the kids off to school. That fog is going to be out there, and it is going to cause delays and a few other problems. We'll talk a little bit about COVID this morning, which that was also, oh, man, listening to America in the morning last hour. This is the second time this week, and it's only Wednesday, second time this week we've heard from Dr. Anthony Fauci talking about the Omicron variant might not be as bad as we first thought. Now, I'm putting the emphasis, until I hear otherwise, I'm keeping the emphasis on might not. But honestly, in the last 2 years, when have you heard positive news from Anthony Fauci? When have you heard anything less than be afraid, be very afraid? If you can get anything less than be afraid, be very afraid from Dr. Fauci, you got to take that ball and take it to the house, man. I mean, that's a clear path to the end zone right there. Nothing but green grass in front of you. We'll talk a little bit about the Omicron variant, where Louisiana is as far as hospitalizations and everything else is concerned, as the show wears on as well. All right, we got sports coming up next. A lot of sports news. I don't know if we're going to be able to cover it all in one segment. This might bleed over to the second segment. So we'll take a break. Actually, we'll take a break in 60 seconds. Before that break, got to tell you about the folks over at Baton Rouge Physical Therapy. You can check them out online at brptlake.com. brptlake.com. They are no strangers to the Baton Rouge area. Been around for 60 years. The first ones to introduce a physical therapy program to the Baton Rouge area. They've got 6 locations throughout the greater Baton Rouge area. You'll find them in Ascension Parish, Livingston Parish, and here in EBR. What location is closest to you? I'm happy to help with that. Visit brptlake.com. brptlake.com to get pointed in the right direction. Look, if you've got lower back pain, if you got like a shoulder tweak, if you've got neck or upper back pain for being hunched over a computer all day long, they can help. But you just have to call them for a free screening. Complimentary screening at 225-917-9185. 917-9185. Get back to being your best you. Think physical therapy. Think brptlake.com.
Byron wanted to know if we were going to talk about the Michigan parents.
Do you want to? I'd love to, actually. Yes.
That goes back to a conversation we've had before.
We have.
About parents being responsible for the acts of their kids in a criminal arena and not in a civil one.
Yes. And at some point, I don't know when I guess when we're completely devoid of headlines, there's a deep philosophical discussion to be had of, does a set of written laws equate justice?
Like, what do you mean?
Are those two things the same thing?
No.
Okay.
No, the law is the law. What you do with the individual that breaks the law, that's where the justice is found.
Okay.
The law in and of itself is not, quote unquote, just.
But see, I don't know how to reconcile that. Because if in order to follow the law you don't get justice, then why is that okay?
When does it have to be, quote unquote, okay?
What do you mean?
Like, I don't, like, the legislature makes a law. That is the law. And then the legislature can change the law. It's not etched in, quote unquote, stone.
Right.
It's not like the Ten Commandments. Now,
But
certain crimes are.
bad things can happen to good people and good things can happen to bad people as a result of the legislators.
Right. Tort reform. Your insurance rates.
Right. Think about all the people that got screwed before tort reform passed. You're exactly right. Think about all the people.
Oh, so it's going to be that one kind of a softball for her when she comes on the show? It's going to be all like warm and fuzzies?
Tiger's a he.
He, whatever. It's going to be all warms and fuzzies?
No, actually, my first question is going to be, when are we going to see results?
Yeah. That would be.
And look, I'm in favor of this, and I want to see results.
We can talk. I do want to talk about the Michigan parents, though.
Good.
That is a.
It's legit, but like, how can you charge the parents of somebody for what the kid did?
Well, you got to charge them for. So the way to do it right. The way to do it right is to charge them with a negligent act.
Here's the thing. It's like, oh, are we back? We're going to go Southern University first. And then I'll push the LSU stuff back if I have to. 20. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had three stories written down on here. Max Johnson in the transfer portal, Frank Wilson coming back home, and Southern's new coach has been introduced. But it's like Agent Sandusky said to Bill Gates. Not Bill Gates. Benjamin Gates. You know, Ben Gates finds the national treasure and says, I'd really like to not go to jail. And Sandusky says, somebody's got to go to jail. Like, that's not how it works. It's not just somebody's got to go to jail.
That isn't how it works.
Right. Gotcha. Excuse me. Snap. That popped up. 617 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. All right, where are we headed next? Because there is so much sports news this morning. Let's see. A head coach introduced, a quarterback on his way out, and an assistant coach coming back home again. Tell you what, let's talk about the head coach introduced first of all. Eric Dooley was introduced as the 20th head football coach in Southern University history. The former assistant under legendary head coach Pete Richardson just led Prairie View A&M to a SWAC championship. Dooley says he plans on doing the same at Southern.
I'm not a guy of a lot of words. My work is behind us, out on that field. That's where I'm going to do my talking at. And one thing I can promise you, a lot of guys come up and say we're going to win the championship. That's without a question. I don't have no doubt in my mind because I know the abilities of the young men that are here in this state and the surrounding states.
As Dooley comes in, a lot of hype surrounding the hire here. Our news partners over at WBRZ caught up with a number of different former players. For example, Calvin Mills Jr., a Southern fullback from 97 to 99, said he allowed us to earn the respect of him as a coach. When he told us to do certain things, we bought into it, and he showed it on the field. He's all in. Quincy Richard Jr., a quarterback for the Jags from 99 to 2003, said, Coach Dooley, more than football, he always just preached life on us, which made us feel great. When you get recruited, you feel like just an athlete. When somebody's worried about your life, your well-being, you'll run through a wall for them. So, early buy-in from former players, little bit of hype and excitement surrounding Southern University football as their 20th head coach, Eric Dooley, was announced yesterday. By the way, this one caught me by surprise. In WBRZ's news report, Breck's superintendent, Corey Wilson, was in a meeting at the Baton Rouge Zoo nearby when the press conference was going on. Wilson actually said to WBRZ, knowing where he started and where he is now, is pretty excited, proud to see him land the job. I know Corey Wilson had a connection to Eric Dooley, but apparently that's a relationship that dates back to high school. So, look, I'm all in on the hype as well. You give me more excitement about next year's football across the board, can't go wrong there. Like there isn't enough excitement at LSU. Of course, the excitement at LSU doesn't start until next year. And I'm looking up at the clock right now, and I'm going to be responsible about it. We're going to push pause. We're going to check the Fox Business Report. We're going to check traffic. When we come back, dive into some LSU football news. Two really, really big items yesterday making their way across the wire, and we've got them for you next. Yeah, Max Johnson's out. We'll talk about it next. Good morning, Christy. Wife's watching this morning. She's always watching. I like saying good morning.
You think she's watching for me?
Well, she also watches on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday as well.
So on mile 6, and I don't know if you've done long runs before. On mile 6, my knee.
110K and you're already that guy?
Listen, no, I'm asking. I don't know what you want to run.
Okay. All right. No, I've never run a 10K.
Okay. No,
I don't have the knees for it.
Trust me, I am not that. So on mile 6, my knee and I had a conversation, my right knee, and he said something to the effect of, "Oh, you're 42 years old. You think you're going to run 6 miles, huh? Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something."
Yeah.
And it was just pain. It was just pain, and it shot up my leg. It was horrible.
So no more 10Ks for Franz.
I have 5Ks. I'd like to improve my 5K best time.
What is your best time?
I was doing about a 12-minute mile, 12 and a half minute mile. I'd like to get that down. I would also like to be able to actually run the entirety of the 5K. There's a little walking that goes in there,
Oh, walking? Oh, no, walking. Okay, sorry. No.
Wow.
Yeah. 12 minutes a mile. That's about, so it'd be about what? 35, 36 minutes?
It's a slow mile. It's a slow mile.
No, but if you're not running the whole thing, it's. So my knees don't hold up for running. I have to stop and walk about every 5 minutes. Sucks and I hate it.
So what's funny is I'm out there running, and there's a whole spectrum of people. There's like the cute girls that are running. There's like the older folks that are running. Guys my size, bigger, and like you're trying to put on an impressive show, right? Single guy, you're trying to put on an impressive show. And what happens is the 75-year-old lady who's moving at like Mach 2 smokes you.
Yeah.
And you're
It's
like
humbling.
And you're like, dang.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my 14-year-old daughter can outrun me. I think if I really dug in and put my mind to it, I could probably keep pace. Yeah, I got to have that humbling experience in D.C. over the summer. We ran from the mall up to the Jefferson Memorial.
Okay.
And this is going to sound like an excuse, but it starts off as legit. I held back a little bit to keep up, like, so the 9-year-old doesn't get left behind. And from that point, no catching back up again. It was done. Dunzo Rodriguez, man. Turn him down?
Just a hair? What are you, insensitive to those of us who are follically challenged?
Is that better? All right. Marriage. Cool. Oh, yeah, thank you. Do what?
That's up to Mr. Haldane here.
624, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Legally served with attorney Franz Borghardt coming your way just over 10 minutes from right now. We had some holdover from the sports segment that we got to talk about right here. I'll be quick about it. I'm not going to have any kind of earth-shattering take on either one of these things that you won't hear from the guys on 104.5 all day long. Max Johnson, who was LSU starting quarterback for most of the 2021 season, has announced plans to leave the Tigers. Johnson, who took over under center after quarterback Miles Brennan suffered an offseason injury, made the announcement on social media yesterday. Played in all 12 games of the regular season. I believe he started all but one of them. I want to say Nussmeier got one start. Threw for 2,815 yards and 27 touchdowns, completed 225 of 373 pass attempts. This season, he will be transferring. Now, along with his transfer, you can basically assume that his brother, the tight end, the number one tight end in the country, with his decommitment, the Johnsons are done with LSU. Now, what does that mean for the bowl game? Does it mean that will Garret Nussmeier burn a red shirt? Do you have to burn a red shirt for a bowl game? Does it count towards your number of games you played this season? Or do you just roll into the Texas Bowl with a walk-on quarterback? Because if you don't want to burn Nussmeier's red shirt and Max Johnson is out, that's the only option you have. Tigers playing Kansas State on January 4th. You can hear it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1, an 8 p.m. kickoff time. Oh, man, what day of the week is January 4th? That's going to be brutal for the next day. That's a Tuesday. Boy, that's going to make Wednesday morning really rough. One more LSU football story. Head coach Frank Wilson leaves McNeese to join the LSU coaching staff. Wilson has he's had a previous stint at LSU. Fantastic recruiter. He had previously spent 6 years with the Tigers as running backs coach and recruiting coordinator, helping the team bring in 4 top 10 recruiting classes, including the ones in 2014 and 2015. Wilson said at a press conference, "I will forever be grateful to the coaches, staff, and student athletes I've been fortunate to work with at McNeese State, and I will always remember the lessons I've learned in my 6 seasons as a head coach. The opportunity to return home to LSU and join Coach Kelly's staff was one my family and I simply could not pass up. I could not be more excited to return to Baton Rouge and do whatever I can to help the Tigers consistently compete for and win national championships." So, Frank Wilson coming back. This is big, big, big recruiting news, especially, what are we, less than a week away from the early signing day? And then we're going to have even more before the February signing date. Look, Brian Kelly is slowly but surely accumulating a fantastic staff. We'll see if we can't get somebody on Friday to kind of put a button on the full week worth of Brian Kelly at the helm, putting things in motion. Anyway, that'll be later on. All right, we got to talk about economic development in just a minute. But first, got to ask you, what are you serving your guests at your Christmas party, at your holiday party? What are you serving your guests? Got some smoked turkey breast over there. Got some chicken fingers if you don't like it. No, forget that. Mooyah.com/catering. Mooyah.com/catering. Phyllis made a sweet potato casserole. No, forget that. Mooyah.com/catering or call 663-6632. Just completely leave the rails. Burger bar at your Christmas party. Yes, your guests can have their burger to their liking, top quality ingredients, fresh cut vegetables, the potato bun. Tell you what, if you need to be fully convinced, swing by for lunch today. They're on Segan, just north of Industrialplex. They're on Bluebonnet at Highland. Mooyah.com/catering to get yourself set up for your holiday party. All right, we got about 2 minutes until break. The Department of Economic Development, LED, their Fast Start program has a virtual career today. You're going to hear more about this in our news in less than 2 minutes. Jamie Nakamoto is overseeing today's event.
There are 11 companies that have committed to participate, and interested job seekers will have an opportunity to have one-on-one conversations with representatives from all of these companies.
The career fair, yes, Nakamoto, you do recognize that name. The career fair takes place from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. today. You'll first need to register through your favorite social media platform and look for LED Fast Start to follow. Follow the prompts for registration. Nakamoto talks about what a registrant for the virtual manufacturing career fair can expect once they log onto the site.
They'll see a virtual lobby where they can learn more about all of the companies that are hiring, the positions that they have available, and then from there they can choose which companies they want to connect with.
Now, the manufacturing sector actually has a lot of jobs available right now, which is why they put together this event.
On ledfaststart.com, there are always various opportunities at all levels, whether it's entry level, mid, even senior level, and some leadership positions available.
But manufacturing's not the only sector that's available. There's a lot of tech jobs available. In fact, general informatics, Premier Health, rural staffing, Sparkhound, there's a whole stack of companies that are hiring right now in both the manufacturing and tech sectors. And this is on the way towards what the Baton Rouge Area Chamber called yesterday, the potential for full job recovery by 2023. Anyway, LED Fast Start, it runs from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They've got their virtual career fair going on today. Let's get you caught up with news, then Legally Served with attorney Franz Borghardt is next. What's happening, T-Bob?
Happy holidays. Happy holidays.
Okay.
Should save that for tort reform.
Stupid. That was good.
Here all week. So I've got like my 100th episode on Go Rouge. I
Yes.
got nothing planned, which is a little like maybe just talk for an hour, just like reminisce. I don't know.
What's your show mostly about?
Complete disengagement. I know. I encourage him to ask. He's not going to learn unless he
You
asks.
need to go to Go Rouge, the Go Rouge page, guys. You need to go to the Go Rouge page and just watch a couple episodes. It's Celebrate Baton Rouge.
Did you just say go watch all the episodes?
Watch a few episodes.
Okay.
It's not as good as Brian's.
Let me
new
take 99
podcast.
hours out of your week.
It's not as good as Brian's podcast. And look, I understand where you're coming from because if you were to go to the Talk 107.3 social media, you couldn't find links to the Go Rouge page on Facebook.
You can't?
Yeah, y'all kind of just stopped sharing. Although I see Jay's show and I see your new show.
Because they launched from Talk 107.3. We could pull you off of Talk 107.3's YouTube and put you back on ours.
I know. You provided me a segue into a passive-aggressive rant.
No, we're more than happy to host it.
So go to the Go Rouge YouTube page and you can watch some past episodes. And it's just different. It's different folks from around Baton Rouge doing different stuff. We had Coach Mulkey on one week. We had people from Junior League. I mean, Brian Kelly. Everybody's like, you need to try to get the coach of the LSU football. And I don't know. It's like I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I don't know if I've got that kind of. He's on a marketing PR run right
Yeah,
now.
I don't understand why he's on a marketing anything right now. He's Brian
doing
Kelly.
what he's told.
He's
doing what
Brian
he's
Kelly,
told.
and this is LSU football.
Dance, monkey, dance.
No, this is something like he shouldn't be doing this. Good morning, Clint. Good morning, Renee. Byron, what's happening?
That's what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let Brian just interview me for an hour.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Hey, you know who I saw yesterday? Chelsea.
Barano or Gidden?
Gidden.
Yeah.
I don't know. Chelsea hats.
I have a huge crush on Chelsea. Duh. You've realized that sometimes my radio show is a subterfuge to just hang out with cute women.
What?
You I mean, you've noticed that, right?
Yes. Yes.
See me coming a mile away, guys.
You just have a list of members of the junior league on a prize wheel. just
I've
to
never
see who-
dated any of the junior leaguers. There's a few I would like to date, but I've never dated any of the junior leaguers. I just harass them.
I was gonna say.
Juicy Smoothie. Hey, that thing just went off the rails, by the way. Have you been keeping track of that trial?
No.
Where he's talking about, oh, God. Oh. I can't talk about it on morning radio. We've talked about a lot of things on morning radio. I can't talk about it on morning radio.
Why?
It's go down to Google deep dive for 5 minutes and you'll understand.
Can't do it. Can't do it. If it's not happening here, I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna be dialed in. I mean, once in a while, sure, but
You know, I'm totally into techno country.
I had no idea that was a thing.
I don't even know what it is.
Techno country? What would techno country? You know what it would sound
It's
like?
country and techno, Brian.
No,
Duh.
this song "Wake Me Up" by Avicii.
I thought you were going to go Wham. Jitterbug.
It'd be. Does anybody still use the word techno anyway? It's EDM now, right?
Yeah, EDM's like the umbrella term for all electronic music nowadays.
EDM sounds like a bowel disorder. Sorry. I'm regular. I'm not drinking coffee today. I am not doing coffee or cigars today. I'm taking a break off of accelerants. Actually, after my 6 mile run, my Tiger 10K experience, I was a little dehydrated. Yeah, and that wasn't fun. Yeah, it really was. Fox News, Jesse Smollett's testimony was unparalleled disaster.
Brian, are we not using the Born Davis interview at all this?
Friday. Sorry, Friday. Yeah, I talked to the inventor of Qbert yesterday, and I don't have a spot for it today or tomorrow.
The game?
Yeah!
You're like really scraping the barrel.
Not at all. You're talking about my childhood, man. What are you going to
So
diss?
you went nostalgia. Oh, this is
did.
on your show or on this show?
On this
Why
show,
don't you put it on your Cool Bruh show?
because it's not long enough. It's a 7-minute long interview. It's a segment, not a podcast.
Not long enough, huh?
That's what she said. .638, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. It is time for Legally Served. It is time to welcome in attorney Franz Borghardt. Franz, what's happening, man?
Brian, to those listening on Talk 107.3 on the radio or on YouTube, good
Check
morning.
us out on YouTube.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. We've got a stack of topics to talk about this morning. Well, first of all, how are you? Are you recovered? It's Wednesday. You ran 6 miles plus
I did run
on Saturday.
I did run the Our Lady of the Lake Tiger 10K.
Yes, you did.
So here's the thing. If this fat dude can run a 10K,
Yeah.
what's your excuse? I think I'm going to start a
Oh, it's a
fitness
bum
camp.
left knee.
Oh, dude, no, my right knee betrayed me.
No, my left knee
Oh,
is
so I'm going to start a fitness campaign. It's going to be kind of like the opposite of Arnold Schwarzenegger, where it's not
so
like
you're not going to – never – whoa, I almost left the rails.
it's going to be more like, hey, if this fat dude can do it, what's your excuse?
Right.
So yeah, I'm feeling pretty darn good. There's a lot of talk about I get to wear my thicker Borghardt Law Firm merch today.
Yeah.
It's LSU purple gold
Look,
fleece.
I
and-
give you a lot of hell about a lot of things, but your investment in your merch is respectable.
Dude, why even have your own top-notch criminal defense law firm
Right.
if you can't have merch?
So a couple weeks ago, I used to say a couple weeks ago, the Saturday the Alabama game, Zoo Run. I'm out there before dawn and repping the
I know, the
Borghardt Law
Borghardt
hat.
Law Firm. Oh yeah, skull cap.
Oh man,
Dude, I got to get a Borghardt Law Firm race gear kind of thing going on. So, anyways.
oh no! Oh come on, people are having breakfast. You don't need the visual of the booty shorts.
No, it's not booty shorts. Shout out to the folks at Varsity Sports, by the way. It's just becoming a giant advertising.
It really
Sad,
has.
but-
Like we're all.
Anyways, so what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about
Well, all those
Pastor-
high quality items could be stolen by a man in Livingston Parish.
Oh, I'm so. Oh.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. A man who robbed a UPS delivery driver at gunpoint in December of 2020 was sentenced to 109 years in prison Tuesday.
It's so Livingston. It's so Livingston Parish.
Short-lived. 109 years.
So
34-year-old Jeremy McDavis was found guilty of robbing a truck driver making holiday deliveries in Livingston Parish. I don't want to make light of holding somebody up at gunpoint. That is a traumatic experience, to be sure.
and apparently he had some priors.
Yes, Judge Charlotte Foster said McDavis was a, quote, career criminal who had just gotten off parole earlier in 2020.
Yep.
So he was sentenced to 104 years for armed robbery with a firearm, 5 years for aggravated flight from an officer, and 4 years for possession of heroin.
So you know what the word triggered means?
Yes.
Okay. There are some crimes that just trigger people. Okay. I have defended rapists, child porn cases. I've represented a serial killer. The guy that I can't represent, the guy that triggers me is the guy that sticks up the UPS guy dropping off Christmas gifts on the porch. That and porch piracy is where I draw the line, unless they have a whole bunch of money.
I mean, Yes, unless they have a whole. Well, if they'd fenced all this stuff before being arrested, you'd be in line.
Who robs the UPS Christmas guy?
Yeah,
man.
He's a vile one. He's got termites in his smile.
Armed robbery in Louisiana carries a penalty of 10 to 99 years. It's a crime of violence.
Yes.
And if you have prior felonies, we can file what's called a habitual offender bill against you.
That sounds worse.
We call it the bitch in the business.
It's the middle of habitual.
They're going to file a bitch on you.
Yes.
Or they're going to bitch you. It's an industry term. It's not. I'm just saying what it's called in the industry. Some people call it multi-billing. So the way you get past the 90 years or 99 years is you file this multi-bill against the person. It's all flat time. It's all flat time. Day for day, baby.
Okay. So
this is the message Livingston's Parish is sending. We got a whole bunch of problems out here. We got things wrong in Livingston, but you know what we got right? We're going to have zero tolerance for folks trying to destroy Christmas.
That's what I'm saying here.
Destroy Christmas?
Yes.
Lock the key. Lock, throw away the key.
Jeremy McDavis might have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, and I'm going to keep making Grinch references because he stole Christmas presents, for crying out loud. Yeah. But at the end of the day, though, stealing Timmy's Xbox should not be on par with what's going on with Dennis and Cynthia Perkins.
It's not on par. It's holding the gun to the UPS guy. The armed robbery part. Porch robbery. Porch piracy, porch theft could be a misdemeanor.
Okay.
Just going up and grabbing.
Is it really as bad as people say it is? Is it really as rampant as people say it is?
Yeah. It's a thing. So can we talk about Pastor?
I'm trying to decide if I want to even open this Pandora's box right now or if leaving the Pandora's box on my front porch, Jeremy McDavis is stealing.
I'm part of the problem. I'm part of the problem. I'm giving Pastor...
All right, fine. We have 2 minutes right now, and then the back end segment we can come back. I wanted to squeeze in talking about charging parents when kids do wrong bleep.
Talk about that
I don't know, man. Once you open that box, open that Pandora's box.
So, Pastor, I don't really care about my congregation. I'm all about the PR. And look, I understand what it means to be a media whore.
Can I do the setup before you really rip into him? You're going to have to sit quietly for like 6 minutes because you get the whole break too, right? Well, 4 minutes. All right. Louisiana Supreme Court announced Tuesday that it will hear arguments in a pastor's fight against criminal charges he faces for violations of pandemic gathering limits that were in effect last year. Tony Spell got national attention, because he wanted it, when he began to flout the state's public health order in March of 2020 at a time when much of the country was in lockdown due to the emergence of COVID-19. Louisiana was being hit especially hard at the time, but hundreds showed up to hear Spell claim that the virus, which has now killed more than 780,000 Americans, is nothing to be concerned about.
No big deal.
Hang on. You're going to make me take up for this guy, aren't you?
God will provide for you.
Mm-hmm. Does he not? A state judge earlier this year had refused to throw out the charges against Spell, whose Life Tabernacle Church is, well, this story says in the Baton Rouge area. They're up in Central. An appeals court. That's not a shot at Central. Don't laugh like I said that. I'm just trying to be specific. An appeals court agreed, but the Supreme Court accepted the case for arguments yesterday. A hearing date has not yet been set. So, minute 30 before break. Can you manage this time, or do you need to hold off until?
If the challenge is about the constitutionality of prosecuting him under that law, he may have a legitimate argument.
Really?
He may have a legitimate
argument.
And in fact, he is trying to get to a higher court that is much more conservative.
Mm-hmm.
We have one of the most conservative courts in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the same guy that maybe almost tried to hit a guy with a bus.
Right.
So, yeah. Now, the other end of this is this gives him more attention. We're talking about him.
Right.
More attention.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what you're doing right now.
No, I don't. See, I'm looking at the clock. I'm trying to be responsible.
Clock management.
Yes.
So, ultimately, don't you just wish this guy would just kind of fade and into the...
Oh, not even fade. Hard cut to black like the end of The Sopranos.
It's like the pastor that doesn't really care about his flock.
Spoiler alert.
It's like the pastor that doesn't really care about his flock. That's what it's like.
Tell you what. Let's push pause right there. We got to take a break. We got to check traffic. We got to check your money now. We're coming back after it, but I'm going to, in these last 9 seconds before break, want to toss out this question. Does hindsight play into this at all when you consider the unprecedented nature of the entire situation? He's attorney Franz Borghardt. We do Legally Served at this time every single week. We're back at it after this.
$18.9 million.
Why do they keep getting rid of my bat? This was by the garbage yesterday. And I'm not having it. The Young Entrepreneurs Academy's not having it.
What's there really to talk about Jesse, Troy? Jesse's going to get convicted. Although I will say, Juicy. I will say that his testimony went off rails. I mean, if you've covered any of the testimony of Juicy Smollett or Jesse Smollett, how do you pronounce the last name?
Jesse Smollett.
Smollett. It's really just gotten weird. It's bizarre.
You know why? Because he's preaching the truth that you don't want to hear.
He's woke.
He is woke, and you are not, white man. You don't want to hear it. He's the victim. Even if he hired the people that beat him up, even if he bought them the MAGA hats online, he's still the victim. Because America. How about that? Hey! Ha Pete Richardson.
It's your second personal injury advertisement. Right before a segment about tort reform. I love it! Spencer's actually a very good guy.
No, he is.
Spencer.
That's genital, not gentle.
No, there's gentle warts.
Gentle warts?
Like gentle giants. Just going to tell you guys, I haven't had coffee today, and I am I'm feeling it. I drink a lot of coffee. I drink way too much coffee. And then the cigars are accelerants, too. They're like on top of the coffee. They just like...
See, I like a cigar as a digestive.
Oh, it'll do that, too. It'll do that. Cigar will clear you out, baby.
I know. You give me a cigar after a, like...
Did you smoke a cigar this last weekend? Okay, don't talk.
I did not.
Don't talk to me about it.
No, I could. There's certain things I could tell you about, and that's one of them. I did not. I ate way too much.
Good food?
Yes. So if you're on the next one, when you're on the next one.
I've already told you I'm committing my money to the...
I know.
Look, the hard thing for me is when you're a successful criminal defense attorney, you're bombarded with stuff, right? Like nonstop. Like,
see, I would think if you were good, you would be in a position to be able to tell people, wait for me 3 days. I'll be back on Monday.
Like the pastor, I'm a whore.
Well,
I am a whore. Nobody, look, YouTube, what about me has ever led you to doubt the lengths I will go to get more? I loved it. Shout out to Ray Coffee and Cigars. Yeah, that's a
right.
I use cigars. I indulge in cigars because they do relax me.
Yes.
And I when I couldn't go to sleep last night because I felt like the great Cornholio Beavis. I was like, I had to start asking questions. Like,
keep me from my bunghole.
what got me here?
Bunghole?
Maybe it was the massive amount of.
Bunghole.
It was a great show.
Clinton says better clock management than I've seen on the field for LSU in recent history. I can't talk about clock management right now because there's a minute 40 worth at Memorial Stadium 2 Fridays ago that is still very, very bitter for me. Especially after the winner of that game went on to win the state championship. I'll be right back in like 10 seconds.
I knew what I was doing when I mentioned Beavid.
Are you threatening me? Are you threatening me? Hey, where were we? .653, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Legally served, rolling right along. Attorney Franz Borghardt in at this time every single week, and I greatly appreciate the time. All right, here we go. Your Honor, nobody in my congregation got sick. Nobody in my congregation died. Everyone was scared at the time, but the governor overstepped his bounds. Take a look back. Who did I actually hurt? There's my argument for Tony Spell.
Your question. Oh, I'd love to prosecute Tony.
You're a defense attorney.
I would make it, if somebody wants to make me a special prosecutor. Actually, the sad thing is, all joking aside, I'm going to address what you just said. The truth is, I, as a prosecutor, prosecuted people much more worthy of the criminal justice system's time. Murderers, rapists. And this no-talent clown just was a distraction. So that being said, sure, he's going to use the hindsight's 2020, right? You know,
if I were him, that's what I would say.
I think the problem he's always going to have is he is unlovable. And it's one thing to have a constitutional fight where you're a lovable individual.
Yes.
You're really a deprived person. He doesn't come across as lovable, which has nothing to do with the justice system, but has everything to do with human decision-making. Lovability, right? Mm-hmm. And this is Franz putting on he's batting 1,000 predictability hat. That pastor is not someone who is sympathetic and lovable. And as such, I don't see a higher court saying, dude, I mean, what is lovable are the men and women that could have lost their lives because of his clownery.
Could have.
In fact, I think some people in his congregation did, in fact, get COVID.
The guy who was like 104, I think, may have passed away.
Luckily, the guy he almost hit with the bus was okay.
Well, he was a COVID death, too.
Yeah. Complications of COVID.
Sorry. Okay, now, for the record, to be 100% clear, I'm not being a hypocrite about this. No. I was completely... At the time, we had all lost our minds. We hadn't lost our minds. We were all trying to be super duper cautious. And everyone's taking the time was, dude, just be cool. Go home for a month, figure out how to do it via Zoom. We'll reconvene later on. You get back to it.
If memory serves, your angst was, I played by the rules, and then they're moving the field goal post.
Right.
That was your issue.
Right.
Which was a legitimate issue.
Yes.
His issue was, I do what I want, when I wants to do it, and I'm not doing anything. He would not do anything to even remotely comply.
Not even move outside into a tent.
Right.
He's got a big front yard over there. The Life Tabernacle Church, you got a big old front yard. You could have a tent, but you know what? You hold things under a tent, and the breeze might get in the collection basket.
So I think, unless we have a resurgence of the pandemic, I think this is just an opportunity for him to stay in the light just a little bit longer. And that's what I think this is. It's a misdemeanor charge. I don't know what the judge has sentenced him to or whatever, or if he even got that far. But candidly, guys, this is not – our system has real problems with really, really violent criminals and bad actors that we need to take the time and attention to utilize our resources.
100%. But then what do you do with this guy? You throw out his charges? Because if he's not going to get his day in court – see,
I don't think you throw out his charges. I think we do what we need to do on this, and
not avail himself of the criminal justice process.
No, I love the Constitution. I don't take black Sharpies to it.
No, I understand that. I understand that, but you don't want to throw out his charges, and you don't want to give him his day in court.
No, I do want to give him his day.
He's not worthy of the time of the court, is what you just said.
I don't think he's worthy of the time of the court, but he gets it nonetheless. I gotta sit back and kick my feet up and watch. He's about as worthy as Jesse
Smollett.
Yes.
Yeah. Back in the news again. Apparently, we're all guilty. You're guilty. I'm guilty.
I actually am guilty. He's not wrong on that point.
So,
what do we got left to talk about?
No. Is there legitimacy to the hindsight into this? To say,
I think that's actually
from a very
master.
legal...
So, as a tactician, as a tactical standpoint, I think the argument becomes, man, this was a really crazy time for a lot of people. It was a crazy time legally, spiritually, businesses. And look, now we're looking back, and it wasn't what it was sold to us. Mm-hmm. That argument may work.
Yeah.
That argument may work, and depending on how conservative your decision maker is.
Especially, and I'll throw this, especially when you are a pastor. And when people are looking for answers, where should they be turning? That would be one of their first stops. What would be a house of worship? If you're looking for some sort of guidance, some sort of structure, some semblance of a rock, and not being lost in the desert for 40 days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You want to come on? Can we do later this week talk about Michigan?
You know what?
Americans?
You were going to have to. Yes, absolutely. Bonus legally served later on this week. I'll
see what I just did there? I just got myself on the radio more.
Brian is still bitter that he got stood up for Dr. Phil. Yeah, I'm not addressing that. Yes, I am.
It's okay.
I'm so bitter. Still salty.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. And I bet you if you reached out to him now,
what
he would come on the show.
I doubt it.
You think?
I doubt it. Because I would go back to March of 2020, Brian, and have zero sympathy.
I'm glad
cool.
I see you're growing as a human being.
No. Not in this particular regard. A, we were all told to be cool and he couldn't. B, we all figured out another way to continue our praise and worship.
He's better than us. He's got cash and checks in the walls. Like some Houston.
This was legally served. CBS News coming your way.
Friday.
Well timed. Let me run downstairs and grab my calendar and bring it right back up. Do you have Fisher on Friday?
I do.
Okay.
At 7:30-ish, I will be leaving Carpool-ish.
Let me go grab my calendar.
Sure.
I'm thinking 8:15, but let me be sure. I'll be right back.
The assignment. Sorry, that's all stuck in my head.
From the radio or from TikTok? Are you on TikTok yet?
At this point, it kind of makes sense.
That's like, let's go Russia. I'm on TikTok in so much as I watch videos from the multiverse. Metaverse. You got it? I'm in. I'm penciled in.
8:15.
Okay, that's fine. Just remind me.
Yeah, it's a 2 minutes longer than the 7:35. So.
All right, guys. I'll see y'all.
Later, bro. So when you're editing that, when I come back in at 6:52, just cut out the time check, and you start right after the time check.
Oh yeah, that's what I did. That's what I usually do.
I try not to do time checks during segments like that because I want them to stand alone, but I forgot.
Did I goof that?
No.
In editing at any point? Okay.
No, not that I know of.
Because I always try and cut out the times because that's irrelevant to playbacks.
Yes, exactly. It is not. It would be a serious random occurrence if somebody was actually listening at 6:52 when that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I focus mostly on like when you start the hour, you'll give your intro, and then when you say hour 2 or hour 1, or like, that's usually when I start the
Cool.
first segment.
Good. All right. Let's see.
All right, well, now that Franz is out of the way for the show, and I don't have to ask this in front of him, which interview out of the 4 that we have lined up are you most excited about?
I enjoy my segment with Franz. That's,
Well, staying outside of that, because obviously he takes the cake every time he's on
it
here.
depends. If we're doing unclaimed property, John Schroder's going to be awesome. That's
Okay.
going to be a lot of fun. And we're talking Christmas parades with Danny Fields, so that should be fun, too.
Cool beans.
Our first interviewee his name's Tiger Joyce.
Yes.
You still have the complete version from 47, so 47.
Gotcha.
And then technically the 37 left.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Let's get it.
7:06, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, Hour 2 Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you, Jake producing. Thanks again to attorney Franz Borghardt for hopping on board for Legally Served. Let you know right now, Friday at 8:15, Franz will be back in for a bonus segment. This is one of those weeks, and it's seeming to happen a lot more often, one of those weeks where there's so many different legally based stories that we can't cover all of it in one chunk or in one segment or in one two-segment chunk, I guess is what Legally Served is. So he'll be back at 8:15. What are we talking about at 8:15 on Friday? The parents of the Michigan school shooter. The parents have been charged after a manhunt and an arraignment. As scrutiny of James and Jennifer Crumbly has intensified. So let's talk about charging parents when your kids do a lot of wrong stuff. Friday at 8:15. Coming up this hour, we're going to talk with Tiger Joyce about tax reform. Louisiana judicial hellhole. Why is it still that way? I thought we cleared a lot of this up in the legislative session year before last. Or are those jumping up and down saying tort reform didn't work, basically Atlanta Falcons fans up 28-3 in the Super Bowl? We'll talk with Tiger Joyce at 7:15. Congressman Garret Graves at 7:35. Top Stories and Trending coming your way in just a second. Actually, Top Stories and Trending is presented by Complete Collision Center. They've got two locations, one on Plank Road in Zachary, one on Perkins, just east of Blue Bonnet, 9848 Perkins, right here in Baton Rouge. That one's a smaller footprint, but nothing they can't get done at either shop. So I often tell you about the certifications they have. Why? Because they're worth bragging about. When you've got more than a dozen major manufacturers and the ICAR Gold Class certification, yeah, brag on that for sure. Check out CompleteCollision.com to learn more. But the other thing I like to tell you about is who's in control, who's in charge. Do you feel in charge? Look, when you get into an accident, it's hectic. There's a lot of feeling, a lot of emotion that's running through you at that time. Is my family safe? Is everybody okay? What about the other car? Are they safe? What about on the roadway? Are there any flammable hazards on the roadway? Are we blocking traffic? Do we need to move? Amidst all of this, where am I taking my vehicle to get it fixed? Well, if you call your insurance company first, they're going to suggest someplace. Now, when they suggest someplace, it might not necessarily be the best place. In fact, whether it be the insurance company or the officer on the scene or the tow truck that randomly appeared even though you didn't call them, don't let any of these folks choose where you take your car. You get to make this decision, which is why I tell you about Complete Collision, CompleteCollision.com. 768-9898 is the phone number, 768-9898. Go ahead and put that number in your phone. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. If you want to learn more about all those certifications I was talking about, check out CompleteCollision.com. Time for Top Stories and Trending. Let's roll. Pump it up. Multiple people at a Gardner area home may have been exposed to carbon monoxide gas early this morning. Officials say the incident occurred at a residence in the 8500 block of Longwood View Avenue as of 5:40 a.m. Emergency medical personnel were on the scene assessing those who may have been exposed. We'll have updates for you as they're provided. Police are searching for a woman who fired a gun inside a store after she was confronted by staff for shoplifting, then proceeded to rob the business. Baton Rouge Police Department said the confrontation happened Friday afternoon at a beauty supply store on Airline Highway. The store's owner said he approached the woman after he saw her stealing a wig. Surveillance video showed the woman rummaging through her purse after he confronted her about the wig. The shoplifter then draws a handgun, fires a shot into the ceiling, and points the gun at the owner, who runs toward the back of the store. The woman is then seen grabbing more wigs before turning to an employee at the front register. The robber fled after the owner, who retrieved his own gun from in the back, fired a single shot into the ground. Department said the woman was last seen driving off in a dark-colored vehicle. I mean, wigs? That's what we're stealing at gunpoint now? Now hiring signs are plastered across the capital city, and help isn't just wanted, It's needed. Quote, we still have a need for waiters, kitchen help, and pretty much everything that we hire could use more help, Brad Zito, owner of Drusilla Seafood Restaurant said. But that could soon change. According to the Baton Rouge Area Chamber, the capital region is well on its way to full economic recovery. Andrew Fitzgerald, BRAC's senior vice president of business intelligence, said we lost about 30,000 jobs between 2019 and 2020 in the heart of the pandemic. Since then, we've made it halfway back. He says many industries have bounced back from COVID job losses and expect revenue and staffing to grow in 2022. BRAC believes full job recovery is possible by 2023. According to BRAC, the unemployment rate is now 3.7%, just below the pre-pandemic level. Well, we talked about this a lot in our last segment. Louisiana's Supreme Court announced yesterday they'll hear arguments in a pastor's fight against criminal charges that he faces for violations of pandemic gathering limits that were in effect last year. Tony Spell got national attention when he began to flout the state's public health order in March of 2020 at a time when much of the country was in lockdown due to the COVID-19 outbreak. A state judge earlier this year had refused to throw out the charges against Spell, whose Life Tabernacle Church is up there in Central. An appeals court agreed. However, the state Supreme Court has accepted the case for arguments. They did so yesterday. A hearing date has not yet been set. Police have arrested a man for a deadly shooting that happened in Baton Rouge last week. BRPD said 38-year-old Luke Simmons was arrested Tuesday for the killing. He was booked for second-degree murder and illegal use of a weapon. Police found 41-year-old Lance Robertson on December 3rd on Spanish Town Road near North 18th with multiple gunshot wounds. He died at the scene. No other details surrounding the shooting have been released at this time. That is a look at your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. Instagram is rolling out new features to prevent social media addiction. For years now, health experts have been warning against the dangers of social media addiction. It's a form of compulsion classified as a behavioral addiction that leads to a harmful influence on the brain and by definition is marked by a compulsive and excessive use of social media that interferes with other areas of one's life. Instagram's creators are coming out with a couple of new items to help curb that addiction. CNN reports the social media app is launching some options like, well, their take a break tool, which will encourage users to spend some time away from the platform after they've been scrolling for a certain period. You're in for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an alarm will pop up or an alert will pop up saying, hey, you want to hop out for a minute? You've been around too much. Why don't you go do something else? The feature was unveiled back in September. It's gradually making its way to the U.S., the UK, Canada, and Australia, as well as other international locations, actually beginning this week. Those are your top stories and trending. We are due for a quick break. When we come back, we talk tort reform with Tiger Joyce next. Yes.
Judicial hellholes. Is that like a thing he does, or is it
Yeah.
a concept? Or?
It's a ranking of the worst judicial hellholes in America. Louisiana comes in number 6.
Okay, so it's like a report.
Yeah. It's a list.
I'm just trying to figure out how to word it for the post.
Yeah.
Because it just sounds Wow, there are so many great promos.
Or what?
There's a lot of great promos. Like, there's a Lars Larson 10, Talk Newsmakers, Lars Larson 10, Talk Newsmakers.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, James Zetterall.
Nope.
I talk to listeners from all walks of life about their journey to financial freedom and how they can get there. But right now, I want to take a minute and talk to all you local businesses out there. Guys, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. It's important to keep your business relevant right now because it'll really affect how you come out of this crisis. I want you to keep reaching out to your customers and your potential new customers right here on local radio. Let your
Yeah, in fact, I was out at Low Bears last night to cash in my tickets. Rolled most of them over into the bowl season. I'm sorry, hang tight. I'm reading about the next segment. .718 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So every year, American Tort Reform Foundation puts out their list of judicial hellholes, and every year, Louisiana seems to find its way somewhere near the top. This is the 20th anniversary of the annual report. ATRF says Louisiana's never-ending coastal litigation and Governor John Bel Edwards' penchant for wielding his veto pen to act civil justice reforms are partially to blame for this year's ranking. Joining us now to talk about it from the American Tax Reform Foundation is Tiger Joyce. Tiger, welcome back to Talk 107.3. How are you, man?
I'm great, Brian. Thanks for having me on this morning.
No, I'm glad to have you on this morning. We're going to talk about the overall report in just a minute, but I've got to start with, aside from coastal litigation and the governor's vetoes, how dialed in are you on what efforts Louisiana has taken to get off of this list or at least move down in the rankings?
Well, actually, the last time I traveled before the pandemic was at the beginning, or I guess it was the end of February last year. You were celebrating a great victory for the LSU Tigers in the national championship, and that there was some great reforms enacted in 2020.
Yes,
and they will need to take effect. You know, in a way, the pandemic has sort of slowed everything down. We haven't seen the normal process of litigation, but some very important changes did take place. We were among the first to acknowledge that. I think the issue is sort of the ongoing endemic challenges, and those are the matters that we raised in the context of our report, whether it's the veto of the very balanced, I think, Senator Peacock legislation on plaintiff bar advertising, and just the ongoing issues that we see with, for example, this really sort of unique to Louisiana coastal litigation, which has a very profound effect, as we've seen from a standpoint of an economic loss of at least $44 million, according to a study by the Pelican Institute. So, you know, there have been some important changes where we applaud those.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've seen states like Texas, even West Virginia in recent years. It takes a long time to address multiple issues on a consistent basis to successfully lift a jurisdiction out of our report. But we'll be happy to do it if and when we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm glad this is where we're starting off, because this is one that every attorney friend of mine does an end zone dance every day that car insurance rates don't go down. In fact, they're even more celebratory when they go up, because they drop a big C, I told you so. But if I'm summing up your answer right, it's going to take a minute before we see anything.
Yeah, you know, well, first off, the attorneys that you're talking to likely will challenge these statutes. We've seen a history around the country of courts overturning legislative enactment. So if you're an insurer, you've got to make sure that these, you know, that these changes are there for the long run. And I think it's important also to recognize that there are multiple factors. If the cost of treating injured people continues to go up, then insurance is going to reflect that. But I think that what's most important is to recognize that it does take time for these cases and these matters to work their way through the system. From if you go to a trial, most cases don't, but even a case that doesn't go to trial, it can take well over a year to fully resolve a matter if an actual lawsuit is filed.
Yes.
And if you do go to trial, it can be multiple years. So to expect it to happen like the flip of a switch, I think is unrealistic, particularly when there is at least if you're ensuring the underlying risk, you have to be thinking in the back of your mind, well, is this going to survive? Because we have seen, as I mentioned, a series of statutes around the country have, if not been completely overturned, significantly modified by the courts.
Yeah, and lowering the jury threshold, coupled with a pandemic where courtrooms are shut down, it does not play out well for a time management aspect.
Absolutely. But I think even that points to one of the inherent issues with litigation, why it really is a problem, which is it just takes too long. And that is, as you suggest, that's exacerbated by a pandemic where if you can't even gather, if you can't put a jury pool together, to potentially have a case or to have the usual workings while maybe the courts are starting to ramp up again. It varies around, even today, it varies around the country in terms of how the system is working. Yeah. But, the cases and the matters do get backed up. And that's something that whether it's the courts in Louisiana or anywhere else in the country are going to have to resolve.
Tiger Joyce is our guest. He's with the American Tax Reform Foundation. And Tiger, you mentioned Senator Peacock's bill. That was more about advertising as opposed to the lowering of the jury threshold. So when it comes to the advertising end, Governor John Bel Edwards vetoed that bill. To this day, I'm still torn on it because I get where ATRF is coming from, but at the same time, I kind of work in an advertising-based field and would like to get every dollar I can out of it. So how does ATRF work the difference between balancing a direct message and not hindering free speech?
Well, I mean, that has to be balanced. And, obviously reasonable people can disagree. Mm-hmm. But I think the issue is most significant when it comes, for example, to the pharmaceutical industry. So many of the advertisements that you see, and we've studied this around the country. Advertising is by the plaintiff's bar is a central part of the business model that generates these major class actions that we see around the country. Class actions that, let's face it, are driven by and primarily serve the interests of the lawyers that bring the cases, and maybe a handful of select people, including the so-called class representative. But in the pharmaceutical area, where it's particularly poignant, we've seen examples of the analysis by health officials here in Washington D.C. That there are people who've stopped taking their medication because they get scared by the sort of ominous look and sound of some of these ads about FDA-approved pharmaceutical products. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, I like to say I went to law school a long time ago. I took an exam to be licensed to practice law, but I'm not licensed to practice medicine. If people are getting their medical advice from advertisements, that's a problem for all of us, and that needs to be addressed. I think that can and should be done within the confines of the First Amendment, but it's nevertheless an important issue. We've seen evidence, certainly, that dozens of people have actually died because they stopped taking their medication. We should be listening. Your listeners should be listening to their doctors and their healthcare providers, not to advertisements about the safety and the need for them to take prescribed medications.
How does it translate to lawyers, though?
Well, I think this is it's what we see. A good example, in fact, I think one of the cases was held in Louisiana, involves a product called Xarelto. Xarelto is a blood thinning medication, FDA approved, and it provides important relief for people who've had blood clots or who suffer from something called atrial fibrillation, a heart issue. Lots of people take it, very popular, and it's a successor to warfarin, which has been around, for decades. And again, it enjoys approval of the FDA. Advertisements were developed that arguing, well, if you've had complications from internal bleeding, contact this number. They generated in a class action or a case involving Xarelto over 25,000 claimants over this product. It actually went to trial using, I think, what's called a bellwether process, the lawyers call that, where certain cases were chosen by both sides to go to trial, and the defendants won all the cases. It was a clean sweep. It was 3 or 4 different verdicts, including I believe there was one in Louisiana. I believe there might have been one. I don't have it in front of me, but this was a few years back. And the net result was the class action got settled for nearly $800 million. So imagine you win all your cases and you settle for nearly $800 million. The sheer volume of the number of claimants, which was at least tackled a little bit through these bellwether cases, no indication that there was a problem with, you had defense verdicts, not close calls or small awards, but defense verdicts, and yet these these matters are settled for nearly $800 million.
I mean,
so the business model is to accumulate as many people to sign them up, and the advertising is the mechanism to do that. It's to attract them to sign them up.
Got 90 seconds left with Tiger Joyce from American Tax Reform Foundation. We're number 6 in the country. Who's worse than us?
Well, you are number 6. Coming in number 1 this year, former number 1 is California. They're followed at number 2 by New York. Coming in number 3 this year is actually a state that's moved up the rankings or down, depending on how you look at it. Which is number 3 is Georgia and the Georgia Supreme Court. Number 4 is the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas, along with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Number 5 is, sorry, I don't have my list in front of me. I get back to it here.
All good. Yeah, and then we'll come in.
Number 5 is Cook, Madison, and St. Clair counties in Illinois. So as I mentioned, Louisiana is number 6. And St. Louis, Missouri is number 7, and the asbestos docket in South Carolina from the last couple of years is number 8.
He is Tiger Joyce with the American Tort Reform Foundation. Man, we always appreciate the time. Number 6 on the list is nothing to be bragging about. Won't get you in the playoff, but it'll get you a New Year's Day bowl. Tiger, we always appreciate the time, man.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks. We'll talk to you soon. Quick break for news. Coming back next. What do I have available tomorrow? What's available to... Shoot. I have 8:15 tomorrow. Uh-huh. Oh, nuts. I didn't stay. I was missing two. I could not figure out what happened to the other 2 pages of this press release. They were behind the next segment. I don't know how they got out of order. It's California, New York, Georgia, Philadelphia. I'm sorry, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Illinois, us, St. Louis, and then South Carolina. That's. Never so triggered. Remove this notification. Oh, wait, no, I don't want that. I still got to get my thorns out the way. Which, if the congressman's not on, I'm going to do that right now. I'm just now going. I'm getting my talking points texted to me, or topics texted to me from an interview that's coming up later on. Oh, my thorns. .738 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Looking to connect with Garret Graves, Congressman Garret Graves, in this segment for D.C. Current. A lot going on in Washington, D.C. right now. A party line vote on raising the debt ceiling. Remember a couple months ago they raised the debt ceiling and then just went ahead and spent it all, filled it back up to the ceiling again. So let's raise the ceiling again. We'll get to that in just a minute. Hey, if you do not yet have your catering squared away for your holiday party, check out the folks at Mathern's Market. In fact, start with their Facebook page if you would. Their catering menus are available on their Facebook page if you need to find them in real life, which eventually you will, to go pick up whatever catering you order, although I believe they have delivery too. Downtown on 3rd Street or Nicholson at Skip Burtman Drive, the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. But I would start with their Facebook page to get a hold of their catering menus. Look, this is not the time to just kind of waste time doing all your own cooking for the Christmas party, right? You've got other stuff to do. Let the professionals handle it. You can give them a call if you like. Their phone number is 367-6074, 367-6074, or just swing on by. Nicholson at Skip Burtman Drive for Mathern's Market at LSU. Joining us now, as he does every Wednesday, Congressman Garret Graves. Congressman, good morning. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Brian. Doing great this morning. How about you?
I am doing well. So a party line vote on raising the debt ceiling, huh?
It was. Look, there were some things in that bill that we supported. The problem is that by coming in and they effectively changed the rules in the Senate to where you can make debt ceiling increases with just 50 votes, and they did not pair it with the efforts to just reduce spending and to reduce the debt. As you and I have talked about in the past, Brian, this is all about placing a burden on our children and grandchildren. That every dollar we're spending today is going to cost them $5 to $15 to pay back with interest in the future, and it's just irresponsible. It's one thing if we're spending the money on true priorities. It's something very different if you just see wasteful, inefficient spending without first reining in the waste, fraud, and abuse that is rampant across the federal government.
As a conservative, I hate being labeled as the party of no. Can you walk me through some examples of yeses? Can you walk me through some examples of what is effective spending versus what is wasteful spending?
Sure, absolutely. As a matter of fact, last night I was proud to support a final version of the National Defense Authorization Act, which authorizes all of our military Department of Defense activities across the globe. It provides a 2.7% increase for our military men and women, who I think if these folks are going to go put their life on the line, like our police officers, firefighters, and others, they deserve to get fair compensation for that. We put funds aside to help push back on what Russia's doing in Ukraine and help to support the folks in Ukraine. We have authorized funding in there to push back against China and some of their aggression, East and South China Sea, some of the cyber work that they're doing. We have some funds in there to help with some of our capabilities in the Middle East, particularly where Iran is being overly aggressive, North Korea, some new defense technologies, ships, ensuring that some of the efforts to cut our shipbuilding program are not successful. So look, all day long, I think that there is spending that actually makes sense. Something, Brian, you and I have talked about over the years is spending in infrastructure. I mean, look, interstates, that's a federal government responsibility. The fact that I-10 and I-12 are parking lots is absolutely unacceptable. The federal government is failing to do its job. So those things, I think, are good, important spending, going out there and overcompensating people, paying people to stay home, more to stay home than they were making to work. Look, I could go on and on. These are things that don't make sense.
No, they don't. How do you turn the corner, though? So the debt ceiling's likely going to get raised. Likely, I'm just guessing. How do you say, okay, we've raised the debt ceiling, now let's not push to the ceiling within 3 months again, like we did this last time?
Well, and so that's why, just like if you were sitting there negotiating with your spouse or someone else, somebody in business, before you go raise your credit card limit, you sit down and you have a discussion about what is responsible spending or allowable spending under that new credit card limit. And to have these discussions entirely separate, and to have a bill that is literally sitting before the U.S. Senate that's passed the House that could cost our children and grandchildren over $5 trillion, as the previous version did, that's just unacceptable. And not just to spend that kind of money, Brian, but to spend it on things like expanding our social welfare programs rather than doing things like incorporating work requirements in which we had passed my bill through the House that did just that results in significant, tens of billions of dollars in savings, but also results in better outcomes, and that it has proven to show that it transitions people from welfare into the workforce, putting them in charge of their own destiny, getting them off of this dependence upon government. These are good outcomes, and it doesn't matter if you're the people that are on social welfare or you're the people that are paying for those programs. It benefits both of you. And so for us to entirely divorce those discussions is irresponsible, and all it's going to do is continue running up this nearly $30 trillion debt that this country has today. So we're going to keep pushing for those responsible discussions on what is responsible spending, and most importantly, Brian, is just what is the role of the federal government? Federal government can't be your parents, can't be your church, can't be your school. It can't be all of those things. Your community has a role in these. Your family has a role in some of these things. And we've got to really redefine what is the scope and responsibility of government.
Well, and you're talking about what is the role of government within our nation itself versus funding spent overseas. I saw, was it on Twitter or Facebook you had, and I want to say this was heading into the weekend, about spending roughly $4 billion in overseas aid versus denying Hurricane Ida aid.
That's right. So just last week, they actually had, I think it was about $5.6 billion in an appropriations bill and a spending bill that was going toward, and the title is what really set me off. It said aid for disaster victims, foreign disaster victims, or something along those lines. And I'm like, hello, wait a minute. We just had Hurricane Ida. Mm-hmm. You still haven't fully come in and done recovery efforts on Hurricanes Laura, Delta, and Zeta in southwest Louisiana. Before we go out and go spend $5.6 billion on foreigners, on other countries that are going through disasters and other humanitarian crisis, how about actually taking care of the folks that, are our own taxpayers, the people that we're representing? And so we offered a number of amendments trying to right that wrong, and we're unable to get it. And Brian, another hypocrisy, just last night, I was testifying before Rules Committee. They're trying to put Congressman Adam Schiff, California, is trying to push this bill through preventing foreign interference in elections. Look, amen. I want to stop foreign interference as well. But I filed an amendment that said that the 30 million people that are here illegally should not be allowed to influence the number of electoral votes that a state has. And let me just quickly explain. Because of the number of illegal immigrants in the state of California alone, Center for Immigration Studies says that California has 4 extra electoral votes, which means they have a California citizen has an outsized say on who the president of the United States is, because they're giving him electoral votes for president, based on people that aren't even citizens of the country. So these people are there illegally, they've broken the law, they vote for president in their actual countries, and they're getting to influence who the president of the United States is. Just real quick, we did an analysis. A vote for president in California counts 108%. A vote for president, for example, in Idaho only counts 80% of a vote. This is crazy what's going on. And then people sitting there arguing with me, telling me that I'm wrong. I'm like, how am I wrong? You're counting foreigners to determine how many congressional seats you have, how much spending you get for transportation, education, healthcare, and they're influencing who the president of the United States is. This makes no sense. They rejected our amendment.
I don't even know how to unpack that.
You can't. It is totally illogical.
I'm baffled. We got about 2 minutes left. Congressman Garret Graves is our guest every Wednesday for DC Current. I've got to ask you about inflation because as much as we could talk about it, at the end of the day, Thanksgiving dinner costs more, Christmas dinner is going to cost more, everything else is costing more. Is there an end in sight for this current inflation bump or spike?
If we don't stop doubling and tripling down on these policies, and I say we, let me be clear. If this administration, if some of the leadership in Congress does not stop doubling and tripling down on some of the policies that are contributing to it. And look, I'm not going to tell you there's one thing that's happened. It's a combination. One, by paying people more to not work than work, you have to pay more money to get employees in. You have to spend more money on employees because people are saying, wait a minute, government's paying me, $20 an hour. You're only going to pay me $15. I'm not coming to work. Right. And so you got to pay people more to come to work, which then that money doesn't just show up. You've got to raise prices. So that contributes. You've got this issue of effectively shutting down domestic energy production. It increases the cost of everything from putting gas in your car to heating and cooling your home. That's for homes and businesses. That money it doesn't just pop up. You've got to actually increase prices to pay for that stuff. Putting more regulation, forcing unions into jobs and into companies. All of these things contribute to higher cost. What's happening with the supply chain right now? And these are unforced errors. These are man-made problems because of the lack of workforce, because of the way that they're forcing union labor into certain ports and other places, because of the hours that they're cutting back, because of the lack of investment in infrastructure. This causes supply chain problems, which means if you want something, you've got to pay more for it. Once again, the money doesn't just show up. You've got to raise prices. So I could go on and on about all the contributing factors, but until we stop being stupid and we go back to policies that actually improve the competition of the U.S. workforce, we improve the efficiency, we incentivize people to work, not incentivize them to stay home, we're not going to see a turnaround or a change here in terms of these extraordinary inflation rates.
He is Congressman Garret Graves. He joins us every single Wednesday at this time. And, when outside factors play into the market to this level, you do see dramatic shifts, and that's what leads us to the demand pull inflation we're looking at right now. Congressman, we will talk to you next week, man. I always appreciate the time.
Brian, thank you. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. You do the exact same. All right, we got to take a break here in just a second. I do, however, need to remind you, and we're going to talk with Danny Fields in our next hour about this, a Baton Rouge tradition returns on December 11th. The 70th annual Cortana Kiwanis Downtown Christmas Parade is back with presenting sponsor Baton Rouge Coca-Cola Bottling Company. Floats, bands, marching groups, dance troops, and, of course, Santa Claus will make their way through the streets of downtown Baton Rouge starting at 5:30 Saturday the 11th. Come out early, see the Battle of the Bands at 4. I will be judging that. For more, visit ChristmasNBR.com. That's ChristmasNBR.com. I got out 3 seconds too early, damn it. So this was, I've been doing it since I restarted the show. This was an idea that I had tossed out to Bill and Kevin when they were doing the show. Kevin is actually the one who named it DC Current, which I thought was brilliant. But I was like, dude, there's no way we should go a full week without an update from our representation. We have a representative republic for a reason. And Bill and Kevin were 100% on board, so I was like, let's roll with it. And so I took over April of 2019. They started it, I want to say, when did I come back on board as PD? Like a year and a half before that? No, he's in D.C. most of the time. He's not able to be in studio a whole lot. But I think I'm going to extend this out to where Tuesday at 8:30, when Representative Carter's on, We're going to call that DC Current as well, because it is still. And then if I could get on Congresswoman Letlow's schedule more regularly, I'd like to do 3 hits a week, because there are areas of our listening audience, not as many, but there are areas of our listening audience that are in Congresswoman Letlow's district as well. So, and also when we started this, it wasn't Garret every week. They would rotate between Garret and Cassidy and Kennedy, but it was a lot more sporadic. They weren't able to get it on the books. I'm like, Congressman Graves represents Baton Rouge. Senator Cassidy represents all of Louisiana, as does Senator Kennedy. It's not going to be regular. So, yeah, it just I kind of narrowed the focus down to just who our current representation is. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, sponsorship opportunities will be available for DC Current in 2022. Hit me up, email me, brian.haldane@guaranteemedia.com. The Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, Stephen Wangersback, that we talk to every Monday, they would be good. I would think any big company that, like, I understand why a lot of companies would shy away from it, because it's politically driven. It is going to be a divisive topic every single week. But the thing is, if you've got Congressman Carter and Congressman Graves, you're talking to half the audience on Tuesday and half the audience on Wednesday, or you're pissing off both sides of the audience every single week. Right. It's just a lot of people shy away from political advertising these days, unless you've got somebody who's like all in on the right. But I'm not the Biden's here to destroy America guy. So, who was my next live read? You said. That's actually what I'm going to talk about. I believe 6 to 7 years, provided you're rotating it every 6 months. But honestly, with Mitch's prices, 5 years. Yeah. Okay. 756 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Thanks again to Congressman Garret Graves for hopping on board for DC Current. We always appreciate his time every single week. Going to get you to the outside in 60 seconds, but first I do need to tell you the Black Friday sale continues over at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. Name brand queen size mattresses, originally $899.99, now $399.99. Yeah, that's a decrease of $500. That's a $500 discount. King size mattresses, $1,100, marked down to $549.99. Or for a twin gel memory foam mattress, originally $249, now down to $119. Black Friday sale prices continue, provided you mention you heard about it here on Talk 107.3 FM. Christy and I, we got our mattress from the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. 4065 Florida Boulevard was the location we went to. There's also the corner of Jefferson and Hoosier, too. But the mid-city location is on the way home from work, so swung on by. We got a Sealy Beauty Rest Black Label, and it is heavenly. We got it a little under a year ago, and it remains heavenly. Look, Mitch is going to take care of you. Mitch Kimball and his team at 4065 Florida Boulevard, or the corner of Jefferson and Hoosier 2. The level of service at both locations is unparalleled. And you get free delivery if you mention you heard about it here. You get free Black Friday Black Friday prices continue if you mention you heard about it right here, plus a free pillow as well. Both locations of the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. Time for the outside in. Let's roll. Full COVID-19 protocols have been reinstated for St. Helena Parish School System as of today. The system put out a statement that said, "We enjoyed being COVID-free for the last 7 weeks. Unfortunately, 2 new COVID cases were reported last week. 2 more were reported today," meaning yesterday. Proper notification was given to all parties involved, and CDC guidelines were followed. They are back to the COVID protocols in St. Helena Parish because of those 4 cases. In Livingston Parish, 34-year-old Jeremy McDavis, we talked about him in our last hour, who robbed a UPS delivery driver at gunpoint in December of 2020, was sentenced to 109 years in prison. That's 104 for armed robbery with a firearm, 5 for aggravated flight from an officer, and 4 for possession of heroin. The sentence will run concurrently. Next stop, Iberia Parish, rather 63 miles south of Marsh Island, where the Coast Guard on Monday rescued a sailor from a vessel that was taking on water. Personnel with the Coast Guard Sector New Orleans received a call via a cell phone from the owner of the sailing vessel called Bad Influence. They sent out a helicopter. They sent out a plane. The helicopter is the one that grabbed him, took him to a hospital in Patterson, Louisiana, in good condition. That's the Outside In, presented by BRPT Lake. Here comes CBS News. Actually, I had one more story in there that I could roll over to tomorrow. Awesome, because it's about something that happens this weekend. Awesome. Debbie says debt to income, and that's it. That was 16 minutes ago, so now I don't know what you meant. Government pushes for jobs for unemployment, but why isn't the same organization sending the applications to the jobs? Applicants to the jobs, excuse me. You mean making those who are in charge of unemployment recruiters instead? Curious. It's a darn good question. Oh, yes, I'm furious. I was furious. Police in France. All right. Mm-hmm. Oh, snap. Excuse me. Danny Fields. Yeah, look at it. Look at this shot. Look at it.
Do you see it?
Ooh, snap. Excuse me. Sorry. Write these down. 19, 15.
There are no live reads left on the stack.
All right.
For this day in history, I have a thing, if it's okay with you, I have a picture I can put up on that screen.
Yeah, go for it. Always. Let's see. 806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP, hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. We got a busy hour this hour. We're going to give back some money. It is time for unclaimed property. It is a fantastic time of year for unclaimed property. This is a program run by the state treasurer. John Schroder is going to join us in our next segment. Look, you might have cash just sitting there waiting for you. Just sitting there. Maybe a deposit from an old apartment or an old utility bill. There are hundreds of different ways that unclaimed property finds its way back to the state treasurer's office, and John Schroder's mission is to put that money back in your hands. He will join us in our next segment to talk about it. Also this hour, the Cortana Kiwanis Downtown Christmas Parade is this Saturday evening. I'll be judging the Battle of the Bands. Full disclosure, as a St. Paul's grad, I'm a band snob. Get ready for it. That's 4 p.m. on Saturday. The parade rolls at 5:30 through downtown Baton Rouge. Danny Fields is going to join us at 8:40 to talk about the return of the parade. 70th year. No, 60th or 70th. Hang on. Yeah, 70th installment of the Downtown Christmas Parade. Actually, one day after the Cortana Kiwanis Downtown Christmas Parade, the Jones Creek Area Business Association invites you out to their annual Christmas parade, Christmas on the Creek. The parade begins at the intersection of Jones Creek and Coursey. It runs south down Jones Creek Boulevard to the Woodlawn Shopping Center at Jones Creek and Tiger Bend, 2:30, Sunday afternoon, December 12th. Entry into the parade as well as sponsorship opportunities. Wait a minute. What's today? Today the 8th? Oh, you could still get in on sponsorship opportunities or still put your vehicle or float or marching group or whatever in the parade. You got to visit jcaba.org, jcaba.org. As of today, today's the deadline. If you want to get in for Sunday afternoon, then join us on Sunday afternoon for Christmas on the Creek, December 12th. All right, now's the time of the show where Jake takes us back in time. It's This Day in History. A lot of birthdays today.
I would say so, but we're starting things off with a banger. 1813, the hottest artist of that century. Beethoven's 7th Symphony in A premieres in Vienna with Beethoven conducting.
Why did Beethoven just number all of his symphonies? Did they not have names? I'm legit asking. I don't know this.
I believe some of them have names, but when it's a symphony, it's just
Right,
a symphony.
but you
It's just
can't give a
piece.
symphony a name? Like Beethoven's 7th, also known as Gold Digger?
I don't know.
Kanye might have taken that one.
Yeah. Just a little late on that one. 1940, the National Football League Championship in Griffith Stadium, Washington, D.C. Chicago Bears beat the Washington Redskins 73-0. The most one-sided victory in NFL history.
Yeah.
The first NFL title game broadcast on national radio as well.
Yeah. That was so rough. I remember that.
Oh, I believe that. What were you, 40 at the time?
This was 85 or 86, you said?
1940.
Oh, 1940?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what? No, I'm thinking of the 85 Bears. Who did they put it on? I'm thinking of the 85 Bears. Never mind.
1941, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt delivers, quote, Day of Infamy speech to U.S. Congress a day after the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
Yep. That was kind of a big deal.
Just a little. 1980. This also kind of ties into one of the deaths I have to mention, but 1980, Annie Leibovitz has a photo shoot with John Lennon, the last person to professionally photograph him before he is murdered on the same day.
Yep.
2007.
I was curious as to whether or not you're going to have that in this day in history or on the deaths.
Kind of both.
Okay.
I'm double dipping. 2007, 73rd Heisman Trophy Award, Tim Tebow, Florida quarterback.
First sophomore to take it home, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Pretty sure.
He was a sophomore.
Florida quarterback Tim Tebow becomes the first sophomore to win the Heisman Trophy. Beats out Arkansas running back Darren McFadden, and the first player since 1949 to finish second in consecutive. Oh, McFadden was the first player since 1949 to finish second in consecutive seasons.
Wasn't his backup Cam Newton that season, or was it the season after?
Who's backup?
Tim Tebow in Florida.
No, Cam Newton went to Auburn.
No, but he was in Florida for a season. He may have redshirted. He was definitely there at one point.
All right.
I promise you.
He never saw the field, though.
Oh, no, definitely not. It's Tim Tebow.
No, Tebow's backup was Chris Leak.
I could have sworn, man.
That's fine.
I'll have to look this up afterwards to make sure. 2010, with the second launch of the SpaceX Dragon, SpaceX becomes the first privately held company to successfully launch, orbit, and recover a spacecraft. That was exactly 11 years ago.
Hey, this day in 2000. Oh, this is a big one.
Uh-oh.
This is a big one. And it involves an LSU alum.
Let's hear it.
On this day in 2000, Shaquille O'Neal sets an NBA record. You know what he did?
What did he do?
Oh, you're going to love this. He went 0 for 11 from the free throw line. He broke Wilt Chamberlain's record of 0 for 10. Poor Shaq. Shaq did have 26 points and 16 boards on the day. Going 0 for 11 from the line.
Imagine Shaq getting the Giannis treatment on social media for free throws. Everyone counting him down. Or counting him up. I don't know.
They're free throws. It's free. They're free throws. They're handed to you. It's a 10-foot basket. You're 7 foot tall. You're more than halfway there when you count in the distance as well. Poor Shaq.
Oh, poor Shaq. He's still one of the greatest of all time.
50-50 on his career as far as the free throw percentage.
And he deserved at least double the free throws he attempted.
Go ahead. This day in 2008, what'd you have?
No, 2018.
No, 2008.
I didn't have anything.
Greg Maddux announced his retirement, the greatest pitcher in the history of baseball to never throw a fastball. He had a fastball, but it was dirt. I mean, it was like...
But he's the greatest of all time?
Bro, placement like you wouldn't believe. Yes.
Okay.
No, Maddux isn't the greatest of all time. Nolan Ryan is.
Yes.
Maddux is in that conversation because just ridiculously accurate. But yeah, never burn anything past me. Nolan Ryan would put it up over 100 miles an hour. Greg Maddux, mid-80s.
2018, 84th Heisman Trophy Award.
4-time Cy Young Award winner was Greg Maddux. I'm sorry, I was cutting off your Kyler Murray stuff.
Kyler Murray won the Heisman, the Oklahoma quarterback in 2018.
Yep. Could you see him behind the podium when he received it?
More or less. That's all the events
put a
I
scoop
have.
out there for him. He's short!
Still pretty good NFL quarterback. That's all the events. Let's get right down to the birthdays. First things first, Nicki Minaj turns 39.
If you had told me that Nicki Minaj was exactly 3 years older than Dwight Howard, I would have never believed you.
That is crazy. I didn't even realize that. Well, yes, it is Dwight Howard's birthday. He turns 36.
Yeah. How about that?
This one's a personal one. I don't care. This is my segment. Raheem Sterling, Manchester City forward, turns 27. Absolutely killing it. He's also a great person, doing a lot of charities and stuff, but I digress. Phillip Rivers turns 40.
Yeah, he does.
Whew. I love that stat line when they compared him to Joe Burrow, where at the very bottom it was like kids, and it was like 0 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, this one I just found funny. If you're a fan of WWE or if you're watching on YouTube, you'll get a kick out of this. But it's Michael Cole's birthday. He is 53. And if you're paying attention on YouTube, check the screen behind you. To me, he looks a little bit like Brian. A lot of bit like Brian, actually.
You think?
I think so. I think he looks a lot like you.
All right, that's fine. I've been compared to worse. See, now that I've lost the weight, nobody's comparing me to Peter Griffin anymore, and that's a good thing.
You do to yourself.
He's also not real.
He also is not real.
Also, Jeff George's birthday, former University of Illinois, Indianapolis Colts, and Atlanta Falcons quarterback. George Rogers, former New Orleans Saint.
Ooh.
Steve Elkington. Steve Elkington, fantastic golfer. And Kim Basinger, 68 years old today.
Huh. Happy birthday to all those mentioned. I have 2 deaths to mention. I'm sure you have. Do you have more?
No. John Lennon.
John Lennon died on this day in 1980, and Juice WRLD died on this day in 2019. Younger viewers will understand who he is. And
it's like Jamba Juice? It's like smoothies? No? I'm a big squeezy guy myself. I love the Crazy 8.
Yes, of course. That's all the deaths. Let's get right down to the holidays. I have 2 to mention.
That's all we need.
National Brownie Day.
Okay.
And Pretend to be a Time Traveler Day.
Love it.
Love it as well. That is this day in history.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We're already running late. State Treasurer John Schroder joins us next. All right. All right.
Take 30 seconds to save thousands. Go to lacontractor.org and take 30 seconds to make sure the person
Do what? Delete it. .817 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. $658,543,068. That's how much the state treasurer's office has returned to citizens of Louisiana through the unclaimed property program. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, and I just hyped to be talking about it at Christmas time. State Treasurer John Schroder joins us now. Treasurer Schroder, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome, Brian. You?
Could not be better. Could not be better. I'm pumped about the idea of putting some cash back in the hands of Louisiana residents at the exact right time of the year.
Yep.
Let's dive in a little bit on this. Well, actually, you know what? I need to do this a couple times to make sure everybody's on board. 888-925-4127. That's the phone number you got to call if you want to find out if you've got any money waiting for you. I will give out that phone number at least a half dozen times during this segment. All right. 2021 has actually been kind of a slow year for the unclaimed property program. Why is that?
Well, it's just, we really don't know. But it's been a slow year for outcomes, but we actually looks like we may set a record for the amount of money that we collect. So the hard part is this is an ongoing and a fluid thing. It grows every year, and people think, well, if I checked it last year, I don't have any money in it this year. Well, that's not true. My mother had money in it this year. My daughter had money in it this year, and we've been checking it every year. So people need to check this every year. We had over $101 million, which set a record that was returned to the state this year. So, Brian, the funny thing is, if I don't get on the radio, if I don't do advertising, people just don't even react. Last week we did some promotions, and we had 3,000 claims in 2 days, where we were averaging around 90. So with people like you, I'm sure today we'll set an all-time record high with people calling in. We have people in the office answering phones as we speak. So call in. There's over $115 million in Metro Baton Rouge money.
That is a crazy amount. It baffles me. The whole process baffles me. Number one, the idea that much money is just out there floating and people don't even know it. And number two, how frequently you find somebody who we all keep pretty good track of our dollars, and yet things just pop up out of nowhere. The return rate is also pretty significant as well. In fact, for all the unclaimed property programs in the nation, Louisiana has something to brag about here. What is our return rate?
Yeah, it's almost 70%. It's number one in the country. So that's exciting. And I guess the bottom line is we just got to keep working at it because we get new money in every year. But here's what people don't realize. This money is just lost. And a lot of it, Brian, is heirs. It's families whose parents lost a senior, and the seniors tend to lose a lot of things with their addresses, Mm-hmm. So I tell people one of the things you should do is check with the senior members of your family and make sure their addresses are up to date, because it just gets lost in the system. And the law requires that insurance companies and utility companies and just any company that has money that belongs to somebody, by law, after 5 years, has to turn it over to the state of Louisiana. But a lot of it goes to heirs.
Well, interestingly enough, when I looked my last name up in here, I found my old man who passed away about a decade ago, and apparently there's a checking account sitting there. So I guess my mom has something to claim here, which, that is not unusual for the program. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, didn't a person's estate up in Shreveport collect more than $300,000?
Yeah, it's crazy. Look, we had a lady in Shreveport with $100,000, and you may or may not have heard about a homeless guy that we found in New Orleans that we've been communicating with a lot over the last year. He'd been homeless since Katrina had a $258,000 checking account or a CD that was lost, and it was in the system for 18 years.
I mean, and homeless. So I followed his story a little bit. He's back in a home now, correct?
We put him. No, his home is not livable.
Oh, okay.
I did go look at it as a contractor, and we're working through all that now, and I'm trying to help the man. But we have him in a safe little apartment, and he's an elderly man. He's sickly and a veteran, and so it's a real feel-good story. I can tell you that. I've enjoyed getting to know that. Look, Brian, when I met this guy, I was holding 2 bags.
Yeah.
Everything in his life.
So when I say he's back in a home, I don't mean like his home, permanent home, but he is not on the streets anymore.
Correct.
Yeah. Let's talk turnaround time. I mean, today is December 8th. If folks find their money on the website today, if they find that they're listed on the website today, how long does it take before they get to see that money?
We'll have a checkout if you call in today and there's no obstacles, and it's a pretty paperless process now. And that's really how we've gone from doing 30,000 claims to 190 last year, 1,000 claims. It's paperless, and you apply today, your check will be in your mailbox. Now I can't account for the U.S. Postal Service, but it should be in your mailbox Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
That's fantastic. That is a quick turnaround. 888-925-4127. 888-925-4127. And I'll go ahead and post that in the comments section on the YouTube stream, so you can have it right there just a click away. Run us through a few examples of how money ends up in here. You mentioned the CD from the homeless man. How else does money end up in here?
Well, banks are a big participant. Checking accounts, CDs, safety deposit boxes. Those are the typical. But we have a lot of insurance companies. But here's one nobody thinks about. Every year we get deposits from Walgreens. If you go buy a Valentine's gift card for your wife and she doesn't ever use it, that gift card still belongs to you. So now Walgreens turns theirs over annually, but they could hold it for 5 years. But even gift cards, and I did not know this before I became state treasurer, that gift card still is your property, and it's deemed unclaimed, and therefore has to get turned over to the state. We have a lot of royalties from oil and gas companies who turn over. Our biggest claim to date since I've been treasurer is $2.3 million, and it was a royalty of an elderly gentleman who passed, and they didn't have a forwarding address or a good address for his heirs.
They didn't have it. Were y'all able to find it eventually, or is it still floating?
Oh yeah, we found them.
Okay.
We found a young lady in Northeast Louisiana. So a lot of times it's just easier for these companies to turn it over to the state now, rather than them go through the process of trying to go find somebody. We have the infrastructure built up. We actually put together an investigative team. I have an investigator that runs a team now. So we go out. That's how we found this homeless person. We go out and we're trying to find these larger claims that we have.
Speaking of which, there are a huge number of larger claims right here in Baton Rouge. You gave the amount earlier, but how does that break down by per claim? I mean, what number of folks should be on the lookout here?
Well, if you're talking about what the average claim is, the average claim for an individual in our process is about $900. But we have a lot of people with six-figure. When I say a claim, they haven't made that claim yet, but we have accounts with six figures and quite a few here in the Baton Rouge region.
That's it's a huge number, and it's the exact right time to get on board with it. And I'm sure once someone calls 888-925-4127, 888-925-4127, if there is property to be claimed, now would be a great time to not just spend the money, but spend it locally.
Yeah, there's no question. That's a great look. It's Christmas time. It doesn't take you 2 seconds because you can go to my website at latreasury.com, click on unclaimed property, and you can just go right through it. But not only can you check yourself, you can check your family, you can check your business. There's millions. The last time I checked, we had like $60 million, $66 million, I think it was, that belonged just to business alone. So businesses never check it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I tell people, check your business, and we delivered a $6,000 check in Shreveport to a produce company this week. We brought a Baptist church a nice check. A lot of churches who move around have a lot of money in unclaimed property. There's hundreds of churches in unclaimed property.
That is insane. The thought, because I mean, you're when you talk about a personal account, you don't necessarily have a bookkeeper or a comptroller or whatever. Like, you don't necessarily have an accountant. You might just handle your books on your own, but for a business, that's even more astounding. And talk about the perfect time for a windfall if you didn't make budget because of all the other COVID concerns. 888-925-4127. I promised to give out half a dozen times, and I just did. What kind of hours are we looking at for the hotline here? I mean, holiday time. Are we got any extra staffing?
Oh, I authorized last week. That's a good question for the staff to work overtime. I want to get as much money out this month before Christmas. So, we're calling it Christmas cash, and they're there answering calls. So just give us a call, or like I said, go to the website at latreasury.com and click on unclaimed property.
Now, latreasury.com is the website. 888-925-4127 is the phone number. And where you're bumping around the website, one of the things I like to do, Treasurer Schroder, I'll just start entering like other family members' names, because nothing will make you more popular around Christmas time than let a family member know they got money coming to them as well.
So that's the cool thing about it. My wife has started praying now after being since we've been in office for 4 years. Right when we meet people, she's already got a phone out, checking to see if they have money in it. So I'm telling you, half the time they do, or somebody in their family does. So check for your family, but don't forget to check for your seniors, because it's the seniors and the elderly and people who don't use a lot of technology that seem to have money in this system more than others.
He is State Treasurer John Schroder. We always appreciate the time, sir.
Yes, sir.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. You do the same. We'll talk to you soon. We got CBS News coming your way in just a little bit. And speaking of having a Merry Christmas, the Christmas season is upon us, and that kicks into high gear this Saturday with the Cortana Kiwanis Downtown Christmas Parade. We're talking about it with Danny Fields next. All right. What's happening, sir? Come on in. Great. How are you? Likewise. I like that jacket. I can't get my wife on board with the bold jacket. She bold, like something with Oh, I'm just seeing you texted. I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, well, we kind of have to be. It is our upbringing, you know. They're expensive these days. That's what I hear. And living off the reputation from, our time. No, I played basketball and baseball, so I was out for, well, I played football as well, so, yeah.
So I imagine a week ago you and Scone must have had fun.
I mean, we're a minute 44 away from winning that game. A minute 44.
So Addie's in the band with Catholic.
Okay.
And I'm like, you don't even go to that school. Why do you want me to? She's like, I go to that school. But anyway, she was giving me grief because I was the only one at the house not aggressively cheering for Catholic.
Look,
on a normal day, I would.
yeah, but, yeah, that weekend and, well, a little bit of Jesuit maybe. There might have been some Jesuit carryover as well. I got plenty of friends that went to Jesuit as well.
Yeah.
So this is the picture my daughter took before going to the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I go to pick her up from the game. She's wearing the St. Paul's t-shirt under the Catholic High sweatshirt. And I'm like, you didn't do anything. You didn't rep my school at all. She's like, I'm wearing the shirt. I'm like, under another shirt.
Yeah.
That's like saying you're repping by wearing like your brown panties. Like you did nothing. You know who I saw? So I was working LSU basketball that night. I was producing LSU basketball, so I went over to Memorial Stadium. I was listening to Dixon McMakin on the call, just screaming bloody murder like they'd never won a game before. If beating St. Paul's is that big a deal, good on you. I was shocked too. So I'm listening to the final minutes of the game as I'm driving on over to Memorial Stadium, and I pulled up as kind of as the clock was expiring, and I'm like, let me go ahead and, instead of having Carrie and her friends walk out to the car, let me walk up to the stadium just to see who's on their way out. I saw Harry Nunez.
Really?
Yes.
Still.
Yeah. I mean, yes. Doing very well. Did not remember me from Adam, and I don't blame him. I was nobody on the football team. Do I? Man, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
Mick is.
he was. Yeah.
Mick is what, mid-40s or?
No, Mick's got to be at least 50, huh?
Okay.
I mean, Mick was
Still a young teacher.
out of college by the time I was in high school.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I'm 45.
Okay, so he's
So,
50.
yeah, he's got to be at least 50.
So you would think that Harry's probably upper 70s.
Upper 70s, yeah. Didn't see anybody else I recognize.
Yeah.
You know, it's not to say I didn't see anybody else I knew. I didn't see anybody else I recognized. I mean, 27 years ago is a long time.
Were you there the year that St. Paul's went undefeated with is it Nilo Sylvan?
That was my 8th grade year.
Yeah.
That was my 8th grade year. Undefeated with Nilo. Then the next year went like 6-4 or 5-5 in the regular season and won a playoff game.
Yeah.
Which that was the first time St. Paul's had ever won a playoff game.
Yeah.
The year with Nilo going undefeated, and then what was Eric's older brother? Gary Scheck-Snyder was quarterback. Tony Simmons, who played for Purdue, was a tight end. Robert Barketing was on that team. So the next year they played Carver in the playoffs. The year after Marshall Faulk went to San Diego State. It's like, talk about luck there.
One of the years that I think it was, I guess it was my senior year. St. Paul's crushed Eli Manning in.
Nice.
It was like 40 something to nothing. But that was probably the strongest season that the St. Paul's team had while I was there. The cross country team, we outlifted them pound for pound.
You were 99 or 01? Okay.
Yeah.
Was Coach Lejeune still cross country at that time?
No, it was Navarre.
Brad?
No, Mike Navarre, Brad's dad.
Okay.
No, Lejeune was he was track coach at least a couple of the years that, that he was there. But no, Navarre had been coach for, I don't know, maybe probably while Brad was running. Because I know Brad.
Well, yeah, Brad was 95.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, thanks for doing all the support.
Oh, shit, it's awesome. Love it. Oh, I need to get Heather in touch with Chuck P.
Yeah.
Okay, if I
You want to just, I can help facilitate the scheduling of it, and we'll get one of us. I mean, that's kind of how we've been structuring it. Is like,
well,
me,
I know
Heather, or
Brittany and Heather have been playing phone tag for a while now.
Yeah, just based on the schedule.
Yeah.
Me, her, or Tommy, our club president.
As long as it's covered for both audiences, mine and his. I'm forward to Chuck's number then.
Okay.
Yeah. Jesse and Sales and Brittany both asked, like, in a promotions meeting last week or whatever, like, do you want to be Grand Marshal? I'm like, there's fishing for bigger fish than me. But apparently there's still something about it. Like, I might ride in one of the convertibles or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Meaning, I don't even know if I can. You know, there's a cotillion dance at the River Center the same night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Fortunately, I think y'all will be clear of the River Center by
Fun
then.
navigating that. Well,
Yeah.
we're keeping an eye on the weather. We may have to actually push the time back. We're not announcing that yet. But,
Okay. What's your
I'm a past president, but I'm involved with the television production.
Gotcha. .838 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. As we've seen throughout the back half of 2021, a lot of traditions that we've grown to know and love have been returning to our lives, and one of those is a tradition that will roll this Saturday night. It's the Cortana Kiwanis Downtown Christmas Parade, 70th installment, if I'm not mistaken. Joining us now to talk about it is past President Danny Fields, past president for Cortana Kiwanis. Danny, welcome back, man. How are you?
Hey, morning, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Let's get
appreciate.
this around where you.
There we go. Thank you.
All good.
It's my first time talking into a microphone ever.
It's your third time this month. No, I'm just kidding. So 70th installment.
Yeah, it's Cortana Kiwanis actually took over the operations of the parade several years ago, probably about 12 or 13 years ago. But this is the 70th time that the marquee Christmas parade for downtown Baton Rouge has run. We took a year off last year because of the pandemic, and we are excited about this year's parade. We have the biggest turnout in terms of entries. We've got more floats, more bands, more walking groups, dance groups participating this year than ever before. We're excited. We hope everybody comes out.
As far as just for logistics purposes, we're too close to the deadline. We're too close to parade day for anybody to still get in,
We
correct?
are full at this point.
I figured. The streets of downtown get, jam-packed for this one. This parade has more turnout than any individual Mardi Gras parade outside of maybe Spanish Town.
Yeah, it's the largest Christmas parade in the area, and it's actually televised as well. We partner with Your View and WAFB to deliver a great broadcast it's recorded at the parade, and then it will air beginning Christmas Eve on Your View, and then Christmas Day it'll air on WAFB at 11 o'clock.
Very, very cool stuff. Taking the year off last year, everybody had to, but what does that do for the ones who register for the parade? It's just such a punch in the gut.
Bah humbug. Yeah.
I know, right?
2020, we are glad to have that behind us. And when we began the process of planning this year's parade, really it took a while to get started. So we started the whole process much later this year. But the excitement around all the participants in the parade, they rallied, and we filled up as quickly as we possibly could, and really we could not do any of this without the support of Mayor Sharon Western Broom and Coca-Cola, our presenting sponsor. They've come through in so many ways for us.
So I don't know if this is too inside baseball to talk about sponsorships and whatnot, but seeing Baton Rouge Coca-Cola Bottling Company step up the year, like the first year back after the pandemic, is a vote of confidence from a major employer in town, from a major player, a major company in town. That kind of backing really shows what kind of tradition this parade is and what this parade means to the city.
Absolutely, and Coca-Cola has actually been our presenting sponsor for many, many years. So they were all in from the very beginning when we told them that we were we got the permit and we're able to begin the planning again. They were like, we're ready. So the support that they have shown us, along with our many other sponsors, this parade is special because of them. And it's about 75,000 people that show up to the parade for the live event, and tens of thousands more watch it on television. So great showcase for Baton Rouge.
It really is. And look, this isn't Baton Rouge Coca-Cola. I don't know how Coca-Cola partnered themselves with Christmas. Like, how do you become the unofficial soft drink of Santa Claus?
Well, and speaking of Santa Claus, they're the host for Santa Claus at the parade. So
because of course they are. It's Coca-Cola and Christmas. These things just...
You stick around for the end of the parade, and you've got the Coca-Cola float, and guess who's riding it? Santa Claus and his wife, and it's just one of the most magical feelings in Baton Rouge during the holiday season.
And this is Santa Claus. This isn't somebody sitting on a throne of lies.
The actual Santa
That's
Claus.
right.
We brought him in just for the occasion.
He needed a quick little retreat before the big day. I understand. Yeah. Everybody likes the parade as well. Marching groups, marching bands. There will be a battle of the bands before the parade starts. If folks come out early, 4 p.m. First of all, where do they need to go? First of all, where do I need to go?
So
for the Battle of the Bands.
So the Battle of the Bands is going to be showcased on River Road between the River Center and the levee, right next to LASM and the USS Kidd.
Very cool spot.
They'll be
an amphitheater. There's an amphitheater right there.
Yeah, they'll be performing right there on the road. We'll do the Battle of the Bands at 4 o'clock, and then the parade itself is going to roll at 5:30 p.m. We are paying attention to the weather for Saturday. Right now, it looks like the weather's going to be a little rainy leading up to the parade, but
I have not looked at the weather yet.
Jay Grimes and Liz Coe from WAFB are hosting the parade, so Jay's been very thoughtful in giving us heads up on the weather expectations that
yes,
day.
75% chance of rain on Saturday.
Yeah, but we will update everyone on our Facebook page, the Cortana Kiwanis Christmas Parade Facebook page. You can go to our website, christmasinbr.com, to get the parade map. It'll show you every road that it's going through in downtown Baton Rouge. But please bring the family. It's a family-friendly parade, so you can expect only wholesome, joyful, Christmas-related themes on the floats, the marching bands, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I kind of have a reputation for being a parade snob. I like but this is Mardi Gras time when I'm a parade snob. When you have to mask, when you need original throws, all these things, that's for Mardi Gras time. Christmas time, all bets are off. Let's just kick back and have fun.
Yeah, we'll get to Mardi Gras sooner or later. But you know, in the meantime, we're gonna celebrate this time with family and the schools that are participating with the marching bands, the dance groups. It's so much fun, and we're pleased to be able to present this to the city as a gift from Cortana Kiwanis.
Absolutely. Now, starts by the River Center, ends closer to the Capitol.
Yeah, it'll kind of wind its way through downtown Baton Rouge and make its way to the new state capitol.
Yes. So. Excellent. Now, before I get you out of here, we kind of have to talk about this is the gift to the city, like you said. That's one end of it. This is a heck of a lot of fun. That's one end of it. But this is also a philanthropic effort.
That's right. Yeah, the proceeds from the parade, that's all the contributions of the sponsorships. That's really helps Cortana Kiwanis deliver their community service projects throughout the year. And we do a lot of cooking for charitable organizations. Our world famous Cajun style jambalaya, which if you haven't tried it, you got to get a pack. And we will be serving that in some of the concessions at the parade. So come see us and get that. But the proceeds from the parade directly benefit local charitable organizations, and especially ones that focus on helping children.
All right, rank them for me, and I know you're biased. Spanish Town, Where Under the Green, and the Cortana Kiwanis Downtown Christmas Parade. I'm going to assume you're putting your own first.
Oh, yeah.
So who's getting knocked down a peg?
Let's rank it Cortana Kiwanis Christmas Parade, and I think that's all the time that we have today.
That's fine. No, it's Where Into the Green comes in second, for sure. For sure.
Making Pat
Bite that, Spanish Town. What else does Cortana Kiwanis do? Because we know them for the Downtown Christmas Parade, but this is not an organization that shows up one day out of the year.
No, Cortana Kiwanis meets every Thursday morning at 7:30. It's a completely volunteer-led organization, so everybody that is a member of the club is volunteer-oriented. We work a lot with schools on bringing up grades programs, do mentoring with key clubs, providing leadership guidance there. We do. We're actually in the process of launching a number of little free libraries at schools all around the Baton Rouge area. Those are being built and installed. Hopefully this coming year. We were put on hold because of the pandemic. We have contributed to food bank. We have supported Our Lady Lake Children's Hospital, a number of different organizations, Braveheart, Louisiana, and they're actually a new partner in the parade as well. So we are constantly, it's every week, there are different service projects that the club is involved with. Very,
very cool stuff. Parade rolls 5:30, Battle of the Bands at 4. Downtown Baton Rouge is where you will find it Saturday evening. ChristmasinBR.com. ChristmasinBR.com if you want to get a map of the route, learn a little bit more about the parade. Danny, thank you so much for hopping on board today.
Thanks again, Brian.
Greatly appreciate it. We got your money now coming your way in just a little bit. I do need to tell you about the folks over at Go Slim Nutrition. Check them out online, GEAUX, SlimBR.com, GoSlimBR.com. Or give them a call, 763-9600. 763-9600. We all know what this time of year brings. I mean, Christmas party after Christmas party. I went to a company holiday party for LSU last night. You know you're going to eat things that are probably not the best for you. Probably a lot of butter involved. Probably a lot of fried involved. Yeah, sure, I'll have another crab ball. Why not? Get ahead of the holidays before the holidays get ahead of you by calling 763-9600 or just swing on by. They are on Blue Bonnet and Perkins, right next door to Rouse's. Look, now's the time of year where you know you're going to be eating more. We are oftentimes way too busy and hectic to get into the gym as frequently as we should. You can get yourself back to making good lifestyle choices, healthy dietary choices by choosing Go Slim Nutrition. And it's not just about the food. Go over there every single Friday at 10 a.m. and I weigh in. And if I'm down, and that's great. And I'm down more often than not. But if I'm not, if I break even or that one time I actually gained a pound, they walk you through how to get through the rest of your week, how to get through next week on the right path. GEAUX, slimbr.com. Your Money Now is coming up in just a second. Also need to tell you about Breck's Baton Rouge Zoo. They're inviting you out to Zoo Lights. This is a festive evening mile-long trail through the zoo featuring more than 50 illuminated display sculptures, of animals and scenes of the holiday. Visit brzoo.org/events for more details. brzoo.org/events for more details. They're running now through December 30th with the exception of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Here comes Your Money Now. All right. All good.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We'll try to get that squared away. I thought that Talk 107.3 was driving the vehicle.
That's separate from me.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And then they'll have like honey buns.
You don't want to teen wolf it up on top?
You know, I thought about it,
Yeah.
but no. I will not.
That'd be one way to get.
I don't understand how radio stations throughout the years have not figured out how to mount a chair on top of their station vehicle. I think the roof would probably collapse with most radio guys.
That's probably not the risk that they're thinking about.
No, they're probably thinking about falling off, which, whatever. I mean, you're going like 3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like, what are you?
But come if you're interested, if we're not riding, if you're not riding in the parade and you want to jump into the VIP section, I'll put your name on there.
Okay.
And if you
can I bring wife and kids?
Yeah. Text me. You have 4, right?
There's 5 of us total, but one of them's going to be a cotillion.
Pick your favorite. So
It's
I'll put you down for 5.
Okay.
With that, and that is right across from where we're broadcasting the TV.
Where are you broadcasting?
So, Jay Grimes and Liz Coe will be broadcasting on top of the bridge in between River Center and LASM.
Oh yeah,
and then
cool spot.
The parade's gonna go right underneath it, so VIP will be right next to the bridge on the ground.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. And that would actually get us out in plenty of time to get carry afterwards.
Yeah, you're actually right next to the
right.
River Center, so there will be.
Dude,
we'll have jambalaya, Coke. I think there might even be like chocolate bonbons and stuff because I really like to cater to the VIPs.
That sounds awesome.
We'll take care of you.
That sounds awesome. Let me get you Charles's Chuck P. I was gonna say Charles Pierce, but share contact. Any. All right, and simultaneously, I'm going to send your info to him.
Sounds good.
So. Any fields with, give me a CP, where's he at? There you go. Y'all are connected.
All right.
You have each other's numbers. I would do a group text, but there's no reason for me to.
Sounds good. I'll
be a middleman at this point.
I'll mention your name and hold you in high regard. So.
I mean, at least half of that.
Half regard. So.
Half regard.
Yeah.
So.
See you again.
I'll see you Saturday.
All right.
Yes, sir. Good luck. Thank you. Inventherm.
Yes. And I mentioned that in the post, like that was the last time I saw him. But I forget how to pronounce his last name.
Well, he wasn't here for Inventherm. He was here as handling the marketing for Inventherm. He has a marketing and consulting company, so you don't need to mention Inventherm in the post. Unless you want to actually link back to the other recording and have the link in there.
I linked to the product.
That's fine.
That's good?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to mention them.
Wait, so you want me to remove it or leave it as is?
Remove it.
What? What is the Brian Kelly show?
Win
10 to 1.
Here's my booster shot. Even if the science is not behind it.
What's his style?
Weekday mornings from 10 to 1.
I would recommend just listening to him. He's a nationally syndicated conservative talk show host.
It sounds like
But he's not as shouty and angry as a lot of the other ones.
Yeah,
That's why I like him.
That's why I asked the question, because but his promos are like,
Well, the promos are always going to be a little more over the top than the nature of the show.
like it's really just like the whole world's weird, but I don't know. Not in a disrespectful. Cheers to everyone.
.56 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. One more segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldane before we hand things off to the Fox News Rundown. Oh, covered so much ground today. I'm trying to decide which I want to recap here because there's like 8 different stories I could touch back on. You know, Frank Wilson coming home, Frank Wilson coming back to Baton Rouge, it's such a big deal for a number of different reasons. Number one, we're seeing movement in Brian Kelly's staff formation. And to see Brian Kelly want guy, Brian Kelly get guy, like that's kind of a big deal. I mean, Wilson went on to, he left LSU to go be a head coach at UTSA, and then he was over at McNeese after that. But like, him coming back home is a connection to high schools in Louisiana that you're not going to get from a guy who's from the Midwest. You can't be at Notre Dame for over a decade and come into your first time in Louisiana apparently was his introductory press conference. That's like, you're not going to walk into John Ehret. You're not going to walk into Newman. You're not going to walk into West Monroe, whatever, and just be like, hey, I'm Brian Kelly. I've been around forever. No, you're not going to walk into A-Meet, for crying out loud. This is that connection. And if this is a sign of things to come, and that's what I'm taking it as, is if this is a sign of things to come, then I am nothing but encouraged by it. And we will see more in the very near future. Also this morning, we talked about this in sports as well. Max Johnson entering the transfer portal. I got to tell you, I'm remarkably indifferent. Well, she's going to have a walk-on in the bowl game. I don't care. It's the Houston Bowl or the Texas Bowl in Houston. All right. Well, I mean, we'll pound through it. If Nussmeier's out because he wouldn't burn a red shirt and Max Johnson's out because he wants to move on, whatever. We'll pound through it. So do we go in the next season with Nussmeier and, presumably Walker Howard? Tell you what, I would like some more seniority there. I would like some more experience and guidance. Be nice to see if, you know what? What if Miles Brennan pulled himself out of the transfer portal to say, I'll be your leadership to bring the new guys along? Why not? Also today, we talked a little bit about the Omicron variant. It is encouraging, at the very least, encouraging to hear the talking heads, the experts who have throughout the pandemic, I don't want to say spread fear, but spoke from a position of wanting to err to the side of caution, come out very, very early on in this variant of the pandemic and say, but it might be transmissible, but it's not hurting people. These symptoms are a lot less. We're not seeing hospitalizations. We're not seeing deaths. It's going to be out there. It's going to be all over the place. But NBD. Hey, coming up tomorrow on the show, State Representative Larry Bagley heads up the Health and Welfare Committee in the State House that voted down the vaccinations in schools. He is going to join us at 7:15. Also, Fox NFL Sundays' Kurt Menefee will be on tomorrow as well.
Protect your
Yeah, Kurt Menefee from Fox NFL Sunday. Plus, we'll have Patrick Grimmy on. Plus, I believe the folks from Eye Care will be here for the Crime Stopper segment. We got a bit of a show. Got a show tomorrow. Yeah, Patty G's coming back tomorrow, y'all. Back from his paternity leave. As I guess we can call him Papa G now. Or Papa Patty. Anyway, he'll be on tomorrow. We got a lot to talk about. I've already sent them one article this morning. He's sending me one as well, and normally we don't really get cranking on that till afternoon. So, also, I have an interview in the can that I have not yet gotten to. It is with a guy named Warren Davis, the creator of Qbert. Be on the lookout for that one on Friday. Actually, Friday's show is already stacking up as well. We're going to have Haggai in for a cup of tech gumbo. Franz is going to be on for a bonus Legally Served to talk about charging parents when their kids shoot up schools. Warren Davis. Who else is on Friday? I know I've got more on Friday. There's a bit I've been working on, or I'm about to start working on it. I want to be honest about that. I haven't started on it yet. There's going to be a bit Friday morning about me finally working a full week. Because last week I left for retreat for Thursday and Friday. The week before that was Thanksgiving. So as of tomorrow, I'll be in like overtime for the week. I fully expect to be exhausted. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for playing along. Please remember to subscribe. Go ahead and click the subscribe button. And we'll see y'all tomorrow. Later.